Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Disclaimer! Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature.
You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
You haven't.
Hey, John, what do you want us to take away from this extraordinary series of yours?
Well, I want people who are not Latin to have Latin envy and wish they had been born Latin, and for Latin people to realize, damn, being Latin is a superpower, man. I mean, the things that we've suffered in this country, 500 years, our wealth was stolen from us. We were lynched. We were burned, shot alive. We've been the only American citizens that have ever been deported by the millions. And yet we contribute and we build and we thrive.
To me, if you have been here for 5 years and you do not have a criminal record, you will be able to go on the dignity status for 7 years.
That status is like a probation period.
You will not be deported. You will not lose your assets. You can work anywhere in the country. You will pay taxes.
And there would be an additional tax.
A new levy of 1.5 withholding called the dignity levy will be held from your paycheck. You will not have access to any government program and will have to buy your own health insurance.
And another charge.
You will pay $700 a year for 7 years, and that adds up to around $5,000. Those $5,000 will represent around $45 billion.
This is provided that the undocumented immigrants total 10 million, but there are more.
And that fund will go to pay for border security. The other bucket of money, the 1.5, will go to re-educate or retrain any American who believes that he or she has lost his opportunity, his job opportunity, to an undocumented.
Some of the other legislators who support the bill said they are aware that it is not perfect. They said it's better than doing nothing.
Various groups, feminist, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, I mean, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortions, but that's, or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. They dropped the blacks after 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks. We done to the immigrants. We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country. Democrats are dropping the blacks and moving on to the Hispanics because they're a larger group of Hispanics now. But could I just say to Jorge, I hate to disagree with you when you're attacking President Obama, but I think the point on immigration is you can have open borders or you can have a welfare state. You cannot have both.
Great job with the heartbeats.
You late again, Eddie.
I know what you've been trying to do. You ain't gonna do it. See, Big Red done pulled my coattail to you a long, long time ago.
That's bullshit, Eddie. You talking crazy.
Crazy like a mother fox. And you, I can see through your jive ass like glass, nigga.
Eddie, you got it all wrong, man.
Stealing my moves. terrorist like me.
Hey man, why don't you get your boy out of here and detox him?
You on my spot, Fletcher? Slum dwelling, scum sucking, slug ass motherfucker. You on my spot, Flash? Huh? Well, you ain't gonna get it, cause you ain't got it.
These kind of boys seems innocent, Boogie. Got everybody on the post thinking he's a strong black buck. White boys envy his strength, his speed, power in his swing. Then this colored champion lets those same white boys call him Shine or Sambo.
Whoa, Lord.
And he just smiles.
Dream about the time when I was a little boy.
Can't talk.
The night would get
Can barely read or write his own name. And don't care. He'll tell you they like him. Or that colored folks ain't supposed to have but so much sense.
Yes, he would.
You know the damage one ignorant Negro can do. We were in France in the First War. We'd won decorations. But the white boys had told all them French gals that we had tails. Then they found this ignorant colored soldier. Paid him to tie a tail to his ass and run around half naked making monkey sounds. They put him on a big round table in the Cafe Napoleon. Put a reed in his hand, crown on his head, blanket on his shoulders, and made him eat bananas in front of all them Frenchies. Oh, the white boys danced that night. Passed out leaflets with that boy's picture on it. Called him Moonshine, King of the Monkeys. And when we slit his throat, you know that fool asked us what he had done wrong. My daddy told me we got to turn our backs on his kind, Wilkie. Close our ranks to the chitlins, the collard greens, the cornbread style. We are men, soldiers. And I don't intend for our race to be cheated out of its place of honor and respect in this war because of fools like CJ. You watch everything he does. Everything.
You said your people have been fighting for 400 years.
Man, your peoples too.
So I just want you to explain what you mean by that.
You know what I'm talking about. Y'all all know what I'm talking about, man. Don't sit up here and try to bait and not know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what the I talk about when I say these things. Your people too.
Explain it. Not everybody knows what you're talking about.
Radio Raheem, I don't have to explain what's understood, man. You know what I mean by that. You know what I said by that. I ain't got to go further. And if anybody don't understand that, then God be with them. Go look up the history. Go look up the history. Don't everybody believe in Google? Go Google that. See what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what. I dare you to sit up there and say, explain. You know what I'm talking about, man. His fighting people. You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day. You just sit here, you don't know.
And since the American white man has used his control over the press to rewrite history or retell history, and since the white man can't dispute this truth, it's not hate to say that we were kidnapped and brought here, it's truth. It's not hate to say that we were Jim Crow, discriminated and segregated, it's truth. It's not hate to say that the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in this country, came up with a hypocritical desegregation decision 9 years ago, which they haven't enforced yet. That's not hate, that's truth.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions. behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
Welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blow Your Minds, and this is We Up Report. First, I say and foremost, want to say what's good to the fam that you happen to be in the house. What's good to you? But before we get into any business, we got to take care of town business, which is to those who contribute to the show. So we're going to do that first. Before we get in here first, we're going to go out to this brother here who last week came and gave a cash app, called himself, I think he is Black Knowledge, right? Did I say that right? Right? But not right. But we got Dubs is what he come up under, right? Right? So we want to give our hats off to appreciate Mr. Dubs for his cash app last week. Appreciate it, bruh. Family and I tip our hat out to you. Y'all don't know how much it did. Y'all help me in my endeavors in life. Things that I go through, I want to always give you that knowledge. And thank you for that cash app last week. We also got another brother who came through last week who gave something to contribute. That was Protrude L. Will, who came through and donated to the most hated show in the black corner called Mr. Blow Your Minds and We Up Report. We want to thank you, Protrude L. Will, for your cash app last week, me and my family. Thank you kindly. Always appreciative. And again, one day I'm going to tell y'all how much y'all come through and those donations that come through, keep a light on, paying some gas bill. You just don't know how much y'all do. And last and not least, but once again, Protrude L. Will, we thank you so much, brother. So much. And not last but not least, the one who comes through like Metamucil, Mr. Spencer 0620 for his cash app and continued donation, who is the executive producer of the show, always and forever, in gratitude and appreciation for what this brother does on the man. I mean, this is the subscriber. If you had one, this is the type of brother, not saying that these other brothers who didn't, but what this brother do here, man, it's unfathomable. So we want to say once again, thank you, Mr. Spencer 0620. My family and I are very appreciative every time you do and what you continue to do. Our hats, we prostrate, we give honor and thanks to you. Now, got to get those out the way again. Mr. Spencer 0620, want to make sure we get out to him. Now, again, so we're going to go ahead. Some of you might have came over here again. This is the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Been in the business going on for 11 years, y'all. The week Wednesday will be that. We're going on 11 years in a week. Wednesday from today, we'll be going on that. We'll be having maybe do something on that day. But anyway, so just in case you stop by, either you clicked on due to the thumbnail, but you can always go down the aisle, see something that make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. Some of you might have came over here due to the thumbnail in itself or the title of the show. So let's go ahead and let's show that just in case that was those who might have came over here. And let's go ahead and put that up there on the screen for me there, sir. Wash, rinse, and spin our story. Let me say that one more again. Wash, rinse, and spin our story. Think about that. When you think about wash, you're talking about, a lot of times we're talking about maybe our vehicles, we're talking about our clothes, our house, sales, all of the above. when we talk about them, particularly when it comes to the story, we talk about those of us who come from the lineage, the peoples who they say of the southeastern part they call the United States, and that glorious history that we do have some bumps in the road, but it has been something that has been persistent and happening more often than not. It's becoming very more obvious of the things that they're doing. And I want to put a show there about how somebody is washing, rinsing, and spinning our story. And so when you talk about that wash, you're talking about things that with rids of corruption or guilt. You know, clothes have stains in it. Let's say when you clean your house, you're trying to take the dirt, dust, and everything else. So in this case, somebody is doing with our story. They want to purge out what they believe to be the corruption part. And the part that makes one feel guilty, they want to wash that. They want to erode that. They want to remove that. Destroyed by the actions of moving it with water. Yeah. They want to be against it or past it. Yeah. And when you talk about rinsing, using a solution, right? You know, a lot of people hear solution to a problem. So when you're washing something, you use the solution to attack that dirt, that problem, to get rid of it so you can be removable. A lot of times we use soap. But when it comes to a story, a history, what are they using to remove it with? When you use this solution, when you use this rinse, it is the work of cleansing it. A cleaning agent you may use. And when you spin it, has a particular viewpoint, right? Or bias, a slant. Sometimes they one's own story. Yeah. Right. So can frame it, make it in a cocoon. So basically what I'm saying is there's something that has been going on down the lines. There's been some people who are working hard at Aboriginal knowledge. Wish good in the house, brother, known as Dubs. For those who've seen the Cash App, that is that brother right there, Aboriginal knowledge. I said black. I said that wrong. But how you doing, brother? I'm glad to see you in the house. And thank you for that Cash App you sent last week. So again, there's some people out here, particular, could be a group, it could be individuals, it could be corporations, it could be monotonous of things, but we know there is some work at play here. As you heard Malcolm say, rewrite, retell, reorganizing, actually what you extract, wash it, rinse it, spin it, and before you know it, it's going to tell a whole different story if many of us are not paying attention. Because see, there's some people out here who say that the histories that we keep retelling the same old story. But see, that's one of the problems I have with some of my brothers and sisters who in the corner who be teaching. Yes, some of us may know the story. Yes, many of us have worked diligently years and months and days of studying and sipping through, and what they say, scholars. Some people believe that scholars can only be those who have the kundalao with the degrees and so forth. But from my understanding of etymology of scholar has something to do with being able having the time, leisure time to study. Anybody can be a scholar if you have the time to sit and sip and read and study, right? Don't mean you're an expert, but that don't mean you can't be scholared. And so with that being said, we must give those who take time, who are willing to go through those histories and to make sure, because see, some people believe because I already know what it is, that make everybody else to know. Your circumstance is not like everybody else's circumstance. There's a lot of y'all that don't believe that because I know, I don't worry about what other people don't know. But when you are being collectively being attacked, any weak link in the chain is where you could be attacked. So the best thing to do is to strengthen those chains by making sure that everybody gets the memo, right? And getting the memo in this case is the least of them who do not know. It is for some of us and our job to make sure they do know. Some people don't have the patience, the wherewithal to go back and to bring those. It's like saying, if you got over the damn wall, is it for you to put your hand back to help somebody to come up, or you to do a Clarence Thomas and pull the damn ladder up and say, the hell with it, I got mine, you didn't get yours? Do I need to say that again? You could be like some people who think that because I got over the damn wall, I know what I know, and because you don't know, well, you get left because I'm going to pull the ladder up and let you stay in down there. And it's actually, if you're talking about in the totality of things, that people who may not feel the same, that when we say that there are some things of warring and people against other people, that those who are the least of us, if they are not there to help, then you think you're in a better position when you need all hands, all feet, all on deck. So many of y'all don't believe in that. You're so quick to leave everybody behind. But there's sometimes there's some of us who are willing to go back and try to bring as many. It's like the fire department coming into a burning building. Its job is to seek out as many as it can find and then bring them in. Correct? Is it for you to say, well, they seen nobody, go back out in the family and say, well, there was people still in the house. There was people still in the room. There was somebody in the basement. There was somebody in the attic. But you didn't thoroughly search. And that's how a lot of our people are. A lot of people today like that. I got mines. I don't worry about if you don't get yours. As a matter of fact, if you don't get yours, let you be left behind. Well, teach his own. Teach his own. All those who believe in that, teach his damn own. So we're going to get into some of this here. You know, it might be too much wind for some people, but sometimes you got to lay out how we going to move, right? So wash, rinse, and spin our story. Okay. So before I get into that, I'm going to start to show this wash, rinse, and spin. I seen some conversations during this week, and they were talking about, let me show you what we're talking about, right? They were talking about this right here. Let me show you on your screen. Let me show this, right? They were talking about a sunken slave ship and the search for answers. Let me say that one more again for those with the paper over the window. A sunken slave ship and the search for answers. Now, Mr. Blows Your Mind, how are you going to say wash, rinse, and spin? We all know about the slave ships. You know how everybody is. Then you start talking a little bit about slaves, and you start talking about that period of time, most people get turned off. They swear down, they know the entirety of the story. They know what happened. I'm tired of that, right? You get all kinds of people like that. But in actuality, they really don't know. They think they know. And sometimes it's like in boxing, when you're watching boxing, they say the punch you don't see is the punch that'll knock your ass out. Let me say that one more again. In boxing, they say the punch you don't see coming is the one that'll knock your ass out. Well, what do you mean by that, Mr. Blows Your Mind? Well, according to this story here, it says a sunken slave ship and the search for the answers. Can somebody wash, rinse, and spin this? Or is it because the story they're about to lay to you is right and exact? I got a message real quick. Let's see what I got to do with this in here. I got Mr. Spencer, 0620, executive producer in the house. What's good, my brother? I know you probably wasn't here, but I gave you your prostrate to you. Hats off, family. Thank you for that cash app as usual. We thank you. So good to see you in the house, brother. So as I was saying, can knowing something under the guise of what you thought you knew, can somebody wash, rinse, and spin it, and you because you assume you know, think you know what's best. Well, let me show what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to read this story to you, then we're going to pick it apart, and let's just see, did you know or did you not know, right? So they talk about Cotman's journey started with his own desire to learn more about Henrietta Marie, or Henrietta Marie. That's the name of this ship. It's called the Henrietta Marie. It was a British slave ship that sank in Florida Strait in the 1700s. They say, like many colonial slave ships, the Henrietta Marie took part to the Triangle trade, transporting captives from West Africa to the Americas, raw materials such as sugar and tobacco from the Americas to Great Britain, and finally supplies and manufactured goods to British outposts in Africa. The ship had just completed a journey to Jamaica to deliver enslaved people when it hit. Now, okay, now we gonna do this right now. This is what they saying now, right? When it was hit by a hurricane, and on its return voyage to London, the crew perished. And though there were no African captives on board, the shackles and chains that they held them sank to the ocean floor. Okay. Marine archaeologists discovered the shackles in 1972 and the ship Belle in 1983. In 1994, Cotman decided he wanted to retrace the Henrietta Marie steps himself. As an avid scuba diver, he was in the perfect position to do so. As Cotman researched the Henrietta Marie by reading historic records, he became overwhelmed with the facts that Africans were characterized as cargo obese and never as humans. While admitting the emotional difficult the journey was, Cotman was driven by the passion to understand the history of his ancestors. He hoped the emotional aspect of the journey sends a message to young people about how important it is to develop a passion, to find something that makes you excited to wake up and get to work. Cotman explained that his work piecing together the history of the Henrietta Marie was also driven by the need for closure. He desperately wanted to gain an understanding of what motivated everyday people involved in carrying out the slave trade. Though carefully researched, Cotman discovered the name of the British ironmongers responsible for the crafting the shackles discovered with the wreck of the Henrietta Marie. Anthony Tournay, looking at the motive of the people like Tournay, revealed that the slave trade was made up of ordinary men and women capable of compassion in other circumstances, who were participating in what Cotman reminds us was the international business of slavery. Okay, I'm gonna come to that message. I see you over there. Now, excavating the wreck of the Henrietta Marie led to the discovery of over 7,000 artifacts. As Cotman noted, the Henrietta Marie is believed to be the world's largest source of tangible objects representing the early years of the African slave trade. Some of the recovered items include glass beads, which were used to barter for African people who would be traded into slavery, and encrusted cauldron used for cooking. Okay, I want you to hear this now. We're gonna dissect this, because again, what is today's show about? Wash, rinse, and spin. The excavation of the wreck, as well as the creation of the underwater memorial plaque at the site, were carried out by members of the National Association of Black Scuba Divers and the predominantly white Maritime Heritage Society. The success of this partnership is what Cotman considered the biggest takeaway of Shackles from the Deep. Cotman expressed his hope that readers would walk away with appreciation for the power of different ethnic or racial groups to work together for a common purpose, or persons or purpose. While in this case, this common purpose was the excavation of a shipwreck. Cotman reminds readers that there are many other purposes to come together on. He emphasized that doing so required people interacting with people who do not like them, which is especially important in expanding multicultural, right? And then we're going to the last part. Shackles from the Deep is part detective, part mystery, part underwater explorations, and part personal journey, according to Cotman, in which the byproduct of learning about the slave trade. Engaging students in stories about the shipwreck and underwater exploration lets the topic of the slave trade be presented in a dynamic way rather than what Cotman referred to as the boring paperwork approach that often overwhelms students. He concludes that we were learning about and making history, sending the critical messages that history is an ongoing process that students can participate in. Okay? All right. Now, I got a message right here. Let me see what this message is right quick, right? I got Abu Kabil Kabay. What's good, brother? How you good to see you? Good to see you in the house. How you doing, Abu Kabay? Good to see you here, sir. Now, let me show y'all something here now. Okay, let me show. Remember, today's show is about what? Wash, rinse, and what? Spin. Now, there's many people. When you start talking about history and say, hey, what about them slave ships? You have some people who take the position and say, well, you know there was slave ship. Why y'all try to debunk that? And say, well, obviously there was, they give you all kinds of other, they tell you all kinds of stuff, right? And then they've got stories about they finding pieces of a ship. And then here's a story right here. And let me show you how they sell a lot of this. So let me show you what they show. Let me show how they look up under that water. So you can see that, show that, right? Now you see that, right? You see that picture, right? So some people are visual people, right? Some people visually see something. They don't have to read, but they can take it in and they're going to believe everything they see because how else could that get there? How else did that get there then? It couldn't have got there unless it had to be according to what they say. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at this of what I just read. Now, according to this whole journey about finding the name of the ship was what? The Henrietta Marie was based on a man named Cotman, which is you see underwater there. That's actually probably a black man underwater. Okay, that's a black man underwater who is showing you some inscriptions on a stone up under the water. I heard some people say it was so deep, it was so far down up in there. But again, if you had seen the video with Ace, there's a brother named Ace that does videos that he went down in that submarine, just like the ones that went and imploded out there, talking about going looking for the Titanic. But we seen just recently, if you had seen this video, when you go so far down, you can't even record nothing. You can't see. It's dark. It's black down there, right? But somebody said that what this is light so you can see. We don't know the depth. We just got the visual, right? We only see the visual of it. But that's what I'm saying about generalization. People can generalize something and let your mind go wild and you start concluding things that ain't even there. A lot of us do that because we all think we actually know the damn story, right? So when they heard this, right, they ran with it. Okay, it is what it is. Now look at this. Check this out. Now, again, remember, Cotman's journey started with his desire to learn more about this story that he learned about the Henrietta Marie. Now, didn't they say that this was a British slave ship that sank? A British slave ship. Is the British, are they the ones responsible for bringing us over here to the New World? If you believe from Africa, if your story belief of history is black people being transferred from Africa, brought here to the Americas on the slave ship, was it the British slave ship? Did the British bring you? It's a question I'm just asking, right? And then he talked about how this ship sank. It was in the Florida Straits in the 1700s, right? 1700s, saying the British, right? Okay, how well do you know your history? Do you know your history enough that when somebody's saying something that you can have the timeline in your mind so you be like, wait a minute. Okay. Okay. Right? That's what you got to do when you studying your history. No timelines. Know who's where, when, right? Now, they talk about how the Henrietta Marie took part in the triangles trade. See? These are little subliminals, triangle trade. So you got in your mind that triangle trade that you're talking about, the transatlantic slave trade, right? That's what they want. They're selling things to you in your mind, the generalities to make you believe something, right? So you got a slave ship, by the British that was at the Florida Straits in the 1700s, in the triangle trade that was transporting who? Captives from West Africa. See? Right there. That sold the story to many. West Africa came here on a slave boat, and yes, this is possible. This is really what it is, right? Okay, so they tell you, well, it wasn't just that on it. They had raw materials, right? They're going to talk about some sugar and tobacco and all that good stuff, right? And then they gave you the underline to it. They said, well, the ship had just completed a journey to Jamaica. Is that the United States? Is Jamaica the United States? Who, those of you who are avid watchers over here on my show, where is this transatlantic slave trade at? Where are they working at? Are they not working what they call the Spanish Main? They're working on the Spanish Main, right? So if you're working on the Spanish Main, why is somebody who trying to sell this story to tell them about something about the slave trade for those people who need that to have the slave boat and then got this narrative with it? But I ask again, when anybody who think they know the story, tell me where the transatlantic slave trade started at. You got a story that tells you 1619, which we'll talk about that as we go on. And then I'm going to show you other places. And then I'm going to show you that there's a hiccup in the damn story that many of you probably didn't even catch on. And then you have to say, do you really know this story? Or do you think you know this story? And I'm not even just talking about, this is just a startup where we going, right? This is where we going to start at. So now they gave you that. This is one going to Jamaica, going to Florida to Jamaica, all right? And somehow, right? Okay, Florida, Jamaica, right? Okay. I guess it was turning around, right? Went from Jamaica, went down to the Florida Strait and was gonna go back. Okay, all right. Let's move with that, right? Okay. Now, then they say by coincidence, like any of y'all remember a 3-hour cruise, the tiny ship was getting tossed. Y'all remember that? Gilligan's Island, right? The tiny ship was tossed. If it wasn't for the purest good, the middle would be lost. Huh? Y'all remember that? So that all of a sudden now, a hurricane came, right? On its way going back. Now they say going back to London, right? But they claim, they said the crew perished, right? 3-hour cruise. But they said there was no Africans on board. Okay, right? So we got a story here. We have a story of a ship that they claim that was supposed to be taken, went to Jamaica, went past Jamaica, went into the Florida Straits, came back, a hurricane, sunk the boat, and it took down the crew, but there was no slaves on it. And guess what they end up saying? The shackles and the chains sank to the ocean floor. Is that going to be your evidence? Is that your evidence? Oh, some shackles on the bottom of the ocean floor is going to substantiate what we talking about this boat here. Huh? Yeah, we're going to substantiate the whole story based on some shackles on the floor of the ocean. And then to solidify that you know that it's legitimate, oh, they said marine archaeologists. Well, who else got jurisdiction to go down there? Who else would it be? Oh, in 1972. And then they said, oh, a ship bailed too. Where's the boat? Where the boat at? Ain't no boat. Oh, we got some shackles and we got a ship bail. That's substantiate enough for you? That's good enough for you? They can tell you the story and then give you some shackles and a bail, and that makes that legitimate for many of you. Many of you. That's why you know how propaganda. That's what they pump you with commercials all the damn time. Ain't you hungry? Don't you want something to drink? Don't you want a laxative? Don't you want to buy this car? Don't you need these clothes? Don't you need this bag? Don't you want to get this here? Don't you want to eat this from McDonald's? Huh? All day long, soliciting you. Huh? That's like going down the damn street and somebody asking, can I get $1? Can I get $1? Can I get $1? After a while, you go in your pocket. Oh, man, here you go, check. Huh? You ask 50 times, you're going to give up one, right? Matter of fact, why we even saying that, right? Like, why I'm saying that, right? Well, y'all knew over here, right? So anyway, So with that being said, so they got some shackles in the ship bell. In the ship bell, they find basically 11 years after they find the shackles. Okay. So now this man named Cotman, the man you see in your screen there, decided that he wanted to retrace the story that he went and did some reading on. Okay. And he just by coincidence, he just happened to be an avid scuba diver. He just happened to be a scuba diver, right? So he had the perfect position. He read about the history, he heard about it, and he said, well, let me go down there. Let me go down there, right? So, okay, so he did all his reading historical about it. He was overwhelmed about it, right? And then he was kind of like, oh, you know, the way that they were talking about Africans and how they were cargoing beasts and not looked as humans. Okay, so they selling it to you. They selling it to you. And then they threw in, oh, he had to understand the history of his ancestors. When you go look this dude up, I couldn't find nothing about his soul so I could see where your people come from. Who is you? See, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go look. Who is you, right? So you don't find that, but he's part of politics. He's part of the media with the news. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Ain't nothing to question here. Ain't nothing to question here, right? All right. So what does he do? He gets together, right? They said when they found the chains, they went to a British ironmonger. Okay, okay, found some shackles at the bottom of the ocean, and they was able to find who made it. The British ironmongers. Really? Okay, all right. So this was the shipwreck. We found shackles and a bell, and that makes this to be true. Okay? And then they go on with the sentimentalness of it. Oh, the slave trade was made up of ordinary men and women capable of compassion and other circumstances. Why do they need to say that? Why do they need to say the slave trade was made up of ordinary men and women capable of compassion and other? Who we trying to let off the hook here? Who we washing, rinsing, spinning the story for? Are we trying to feed in your damn mind about something to legitimize about a story that you got a 3-hour cruise that you've been holding in your damn mind, but ain't nothing in it to substantiate, to give it no credence other than a story? And then when people start questioning the story, asking for the tangibles, I got some shackles for you. I got a bell for you. I got a piece of wood from the Clotilda. And then people argue with us and say, when we question that, there's something wrong with us because we say, we don't want to believe that. You couldn't go in no courtroom without no damn evidence and win no case. So what makes your story believable when we say those of us who were Gen X, when they told us about when we had to watch the series of Roots on TV, right? That's how we learned about, because in our family, we didn't hear nothing about none of that. See, this is how you know this. Those of Gen X, those who were with that 1964 up to about 79, 78, something like that. Okay. Some of you might be 79 and y'all was babies, so y'all probably didn't get shit. But let's just say, so Roots came on as a series. And we come to find out later on, oh, it was plagiarized. It was a made-up story. But what was sold to us was this story, and somehow his story became all of our story. Let me say that one more again for the ones with the paper on the window. The story that Alex Haley sold to TV, that became a series on TV, that was the first introduction that was those of Gen X forward learned about slavery, was from Roots. And Roots was his story, supposedly about his family, that somehow the generalities we all believe was the same story we all had, which permeated in our damn minds. Right? That's what got in your damn mind. And that became your damn story. Well, that's the same thing I'm telling you here. The Henrietta Marie is a story. You found some shackles, you found some damn bell, and that makes that to be true. And now let me show you the other propaganda again. So the man that's happened to be a scuba diver is black. He just happened to be black, right? Found some interest in it, and he wants to try to find out the links in his family, right? And then when they go down there and excavate, they recovered 7,000 artifacts. They didn't say what they were. What was the 7,000 that they claimed they had gotten? And now they say that it is believed to be the world's largest source of tangible. So this one find of this here is going to substantiate the entirety of all the stories dealing with slave boats. This one Henrietta Marie is going to be the story of all the stories because it's the greatest artifact find we ever did find, right? But you ain't got no boat. You got some shackles and you got that rock you see right on your right there, right? That's what you're seeing right there. That's what it's saying there, right? That rock. Ain't that something? That's the whole story is predicated on that. And so what they do, they say, well, the mariners came down there with the black scuba divers and they let them. So let me ask you a question. Let me ask y'all a question. Can somebody, let's say, okay, you believe circle inside of a circle, inside of a circle, inside of a circle, right? There's certain people who got information where other people outside that circle don't have the same inner knowledge as those inside the circle. So let's say the black scuba divers, the one everybody will say, they was black scuba divers, they went down there, right? Okay, now, you might be a black scuba divers, and you may be able to get some permission to go down in some waters that has jurisdiction, that is by whom, who controlling that, who's giving you the power to go down there. So can I do like, okay, look, back in the days when we was little, you know what they used to do? On Easter, some grown folks would get some paint the eggs, kids paint the damn eggs and take the eggs and take it in like a little place where, you know, forest reserve or something like that, and then hide the eggs. Right? But now the kids didn't know they hid the eggs and say, okay, well, see if we can find the eggs. Right? So you go out there, the kids are all running around, swimming, looking up, like, oh, I found the egg, I found the egg. Now, the black scuba divers kind of like the kids, is it not? Could the scuba divers be like the grown-ups who hide the egg and then say, let them go down there and then you're going to find it. And now you're going to substantiate because you just happen to be black scuba divers, found the damn egg, and here you've been reading the story, and you're going to sell this, and here's our Alex Haley story once again. Wash, rinse, spin our story. Always, always, always spinning our story, is it not? Oh, no, I know. No, y'all don't want that because some of y'all, you stuck on education taught me everything. They tell me everything. But if I ask you, how did the institutions of college come about? How did it come? Do you know? Probably don't even know, right? So let me show you what it says on there. What does those inscriptions on there say? Can you read it from there? Can you read it? It says that, let me see, hold on, wait. What does that say there? Hold on, give me 1 second. I can't see that my damn self. Hold on. I can't see that my damn self. Hold on. Let me get a close up on that. Hold on. Let me read that for y'all. Let me show you what's on that script, just in case you can't see it on your screen there, right? In memory and recognition and of the courage, right? Pain and suffering of the enslaved American people, okay? Name and gently touch and something of our ancestors. Now, that in itself, those words are supposed to read like a Hallmark card to you and make you feel sentimental, feel some kind of way. So when you see that hand touching those words, being up under that water, seeing those words, but that ain't no damn boat. That's something they put a plaque down there. And so they gave you the background story by saying shackles. Huh? Where the boat at? Where the hell is the boat? Ain't no boat. No, ain't no boat. You just got to take that. That's good enough, right? Okay. All right. So let's look at this. So let me show you how it says. So when you read it. So I see somebody who did this, and I want you to see what they showing here. Let's see what they laying down, right? The wreck of the Henrietta Marie. Proof. Now listen what it says on that right there. Where it says lack of supporting data on the right side of that. Look what it said. Proof of enslavement and African heritage continues. What proof? Shackles that you found in the water don't make proof to nothing. Shackles in the water, and somebody said, oh, we went to some people who was the iron people in Britain who said, yeah, this was ours. Oh, you said it's in the 1700s? Is that the same company that was still there? Right? Do you got the receipts? Who was the one that bought it? And why is of all the things that you find, it was on these acts? Where is the boat? Right? Where's the boat? So they go along and said the bill of sales. Let me ask you a question, y'all. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you bought let's say your granddaddy bought, let's say if there would have been a Walmart in his day. Say granddaddy bought a TV at Walmart. TV still worked. You know, he kept it wrapped up where basically it was brand new. When he got it to you, it was still brand new. Matter of fact, he never watched it. It was in the box, sitting the whole time, but could not find a receipt. But you just happen to have a partner who work at Walmart. Hey, man, I need you to make a receipt for me. He just happened to work in the department where he could make a damn receipt. Could he make a receipt that can still make you to still take that damn TV back and they still make that model and everything? It's just that one was bought at that time. Could he make one? You know, some people can't think like that, right? You can't think like that. So you don't believe that's possible. Bill of sales don't make nothing to be what it is just because you say it's a piece of paper. When I was in kindergarten, I remember a teacher taught us how to make paper look old. It was a process through some chemicals and it made like it was old and burnt, but it was just made by what we did. You understand? That don't prove nothing. Then it says enslavement ship. We don't see no ship. We hearing a story about a ship. We don't see no damn ship. Records of revolts on board. What records on board that you found in the water that was still submerged since 1700? It's still intact that you can read that somebody wrote about the revolts on board? Really? Really? Oral history. Wait a minute. They told you history is good as the paper written on. When people who are indigenous people of the world, when we talk about our oral history, how we say this our country, this our land, oh, that's not sufficient enough. You can't go in that courtroom talking about orally about this yours. You need some tangible. You need some proof. You need some paper. You need some documents. Correct? So it ain't gonna work like that. DNA evidence. Wait a minute. Didn't the DNA told you it is what they call that? Novelty. Right? They can now check this out. They can take you back to West Coast Africa, because I'm trying to ask. When you take that damn test, did you not put your damn name and address on the goddamn thing? Let me say that one more again for the paper on the window cut. When you took your DNA test and put your spittle in there, did you by hopping by chair put your damn name on there? And if you put your damn name on there, I'm pretty sure they figure out did you have the mark on there? Was you black? Well, did they ask you any kind of information? Or can you just put spit in there, throw it in there, and how it gonna come back to you if you don't give no kind of identity? So you don't think that by some chance you giving out information that they got all these, let's say they have websites and things you can use so that you can research them. If I get your name, I can find out. So yeah, well, you're Black American. So I was going to say West Africa. Huh? Then they say novelty. What do they mean by novelty? Why is it that nobody with them DNA tests can't get to their family name? Why just giving me a location? And matter of fact, can you even say West Coast Africa? Was everybody in West Coast Africa? Was there any migrations before them? Because they did have, did they not have the carving up of Africa in 1885? Did they not carve up and then they all split it up? And was there not people taking some here, some there? The Arab tribe? Can you just say West Coast Africa? Or is that just a given? You know what I'm saying? Is that just a given? Right? Enslavement dungeons. What? Are you talking about over here in the Americas? Is that what you're talking about? African names given to places inhabited by enslaved. African names. Wait a minute. Didn't the name Africa don't even come into existence like late 1780, 17? See, these people like to keep talking about Africa. And then the term Africa don't even come into play until after if you want to take that slave story and bring it, it couldn't have been Africans. There wasn't no African term being used yet. Yeah, think about that. Wasn't no African name being used yet. That's why when you go back into history, you ain't called Africa. And then they say, well, look, they calling the African American Methodist Church. Well, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to tell you why that's possible. Because those people are coming at a later time and not as a story they told you how they said the original story. But you're going to have to stay tuned for that. I got a message here. Hold on. Yakubu Kabe, the Berlin Conference, exactly, right? Where they divvied up Africa, carved it up. What makes everybody still in the same place when the white man was in there and doing what he was doing? And then what is the true migration in the continent? So how can you just say, you can't say you're from West Coast Africa? That's like taking a goddamn dart and throwing that motherfucker at the goddamn wall and whatever it sticks at, I'm going to put that on your paper. Show me my name. Give me the people so I can get, since they say, oh, we don't know what your name is, give me my name. Give me the people that is most likely that's my name. Don't give me a damn location. They can't. They can't. But you take it as they do. Then they talk about the maroon settlements. Maroon just means runaway. Ain't nobody specific. This doesn't give proof to no slave ship. Maroon could be indigenous people running away. Maroon don't necessarily mean African on a slave boat. Insurance policy. Well, stop telling us the names because they should have the documents, right? And then you're going to say, well, they gave you a Christian name, so you can't, it's untraceable. So guess what? We throwing that out of court. You can't use that to legitimize me on no damn boat from Africa because you ain't got no proof. You ain't got no proof. Huh? You ain't got no damn proof. But everybody from somewhere else is in here trying to tell us who we is, and yet you from some damn where else, and you had a mitigated guard get in our damn face telling us who the hell we is. And yet you learned about you being here. If you stayed where you was, you wouldn't even know who you were. But they in our face. Tell us who we not, what we are, and pretend all this shit. But who is you? Who is you? Are you from here? Are your people from here? Don't tell me about they came in 1900. That ain't got nothing to do with us. We've been here. We've been here before 1900. You get what I'm saying? And we let these people come in and talk to us crazily. And when these people present all this bullshit, we're supposed to just accept it. See, we've been here long enough to know that we don't accept everything just because he says so. For you, that's okay. But it's a crime in my eyes that y'all get in front of us and trying to sell something to us because you read books. Do you not know the CIA make books? You know they don't propaganda and do all that stuff too? Just because everybody said, I got a book, the book. Books don't lie? Is that what y'all trying to say? You trying to say that books don't lie? Shit, they've been telling you that shit in the history books all the time and make that shit as part of the curriculum in school. Man, y'all better stop that, man. Y'all better stop it. Y'all better stop. I got a message. Hold on. I got a message. Hold on. Prudential Insurance and Fidelity Insurance Company, just to name a few. That's Yahoo Cabell Bay. Right? Right. Get a piece of the rock. Right? Now, let me show you something here, right? Get a piece of the rock. Now, so they can sell these stories to us, wash it, rinse it, and spin it. And you'll have some of our people pick it up, regurgitate it, recite it, make it be real, and ain't nothing really tangible to make it real. A story, a piece of something, a story, and then trying to use these people to legitimize it. Oh, these was what they were kind of scuba divers that was from, right? And they just happened to be a black scuba diver team that found it, and he did his research, and you're putting all the onus on him to sell to you. right? He's trying to sell it to you, make you believe. Why is it everybody don't want the black? Again, I know I stand from the law. Y'all got those, again, black American conscious, indigenous, Niji, more, all the above. When you get it, break it down, whatever you call yourself, we're going to be the same damn people. For those who all that technical shit, like, oh, you guys are law. You go that damn law, even with that same shit you talking about, they don't treat you the same damn way. You don't play all that shit. I know the law, shit. Huh? That don't mean shit. That don't mean shit. So stop it. Stop all that shit. Y'all play too damn much. All selling that shit, you know damn well. But anyway, right? So, anyway, we're going to move on. I'll start too long on that anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is people can wash shit to you, rinse shit to you, and spend that shit. And that shit we'll be carrying for generations until a generation rise up and realize, hey, man, we've been fooled. We've been tricked with this shit.
I do want to give you a chance to clarify some comments you made recently on white nationalists serving in the military. For those who are watching, if they haven't heard your remarks, this is what you said.
Do you believe they should allow white nationalists in the military?
Well, they call them that. I call them Americans.
Do you want to explain those comments, Senator?
Yeah, first of all,
I do want to give you.
So now playing that. Hold on, y'all. I have some technical difficulties. So I see y'all obviously they in here blocking it up, right? They're gonna block that up. Because I'm seeing, hold on. P. Wells was good. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Okay. Okay, hold on, y'all. Look like my video not playing. I see y'all messages. I see they're not playing the video, so give me 1 second. We try it again. We try one more again. Then I'm gonna hit the message. I see y'all messages in there. I'll get y'all right after this. So let me go to this cat. But matter of fact, while I'm here, we just go ahead and do these messages and then we come back and do that again. All right, so we got P. Wells in the house. What's good, brothers? Glad to see you stop by. He said there are also a lot of banks that still exist today. Let me put it on the screen. Were involved in the enslavement of our people. Now, again, I agree with you, P. Wells. I agree with you. But my question is for us to look at is when they say slavery and everything that we associate with slavery with, and the story that we've gotten, is that the only way this could have happened? Is that the only way that could have happened is the way they told us? Could you just be POWs, being indigenous people, and the whole story of what they say enslavement may not really have been, may not be? Because the question I want to pose to everybody is, how many of y'all got in y'all families stories that told you of going back? How many people can actually say they got the stories of going back that you heard grandma? And then we're not talking about some of the terror they went through. We're talking about how far can the story go back to tell you that goes back to something that tells us of that, right? Because those of you who watched over here, remember when I showed you Charlie, what was it? Charlie, what was Charlie last name? What was Charlie last name? Remember the man that was 137 years old? He told you how he came here as a little boy and where he came in. And I'm going to show you why he said that particular place. And then all the other stories that they tell us, a lot of that is questionable. And I'm going to show you how you can go look and see how it's questionable, right? So I agree with you, P. Wells, when it comes to that the involvement in enslavement, but enslavement, does enslavement mean from Africa? That's the question. Does it mean Africa? See, because we give that as, we take that as a given. We take that as a given, that it's the only way this story could have been. And so again, that limits us as the indigenous people of the world. Y'all saying the only way only people that's indigenous got to be these light-skinned, milquetoast people. But when it comes to melanated people, the only way you could have got around the world unless somebody put you on a damn boat. I don't believe that. Again, Dr. J jumped from the free throw line first. Then there was Michael Jordan. Then you got the white boy came and then he did it, right? So the only way you're going to tell me now, you can tell me that somebody can traverse across a barren strait and do it, but you can't tell me how niggas got to Hawaii. You can't tell me how they left from Australia and went through and got there, and you say you can't do it unless you got the boat you bring it. Well, how they get to Hawaii? See, when they start talking about that, they cut that part off. How they getting up into them islands and stuff without you, Mr. White Man? How did they get there? Because a nigga can go through the free throw line long before you could. That's why. He didn't need to do that. He seen it, he could do it. Yeah, we know how it is when we growing up and some amazing stuff. There's some stuff that the NFL ain't never seen. Everything in the NBA and NFL think that they got the greatest players. Sometimes there's some great players that never just didn't make it. Things that happen. Unforeseen occurrences befall us all. Sometimes some people then got locked up. Sometimes somebody then had an accident and they killed them and they killed their dream. They couldn't do what they wanted, but they were coded it. It's like San Francisco. Was Len Bias better than Michael Jordan? Was Len Bias better than Michael Jordan? Was Michael Jordan trying to match himself to Len Bias? But Len Bias didn't get to play a day in the NBA. Did he not? He died, right? At the draft, he died, right? So we never know what Len Bias would have been doing, right? Never know what he was going to be. So sometimes you have some greatness that they ain't never seen before. So again, history don't record how somebody could have got to these places without you. We didn't need you. But the only way we can come, and a lot of you like to regurgitate and make that to be true, but you ain't got nothing to substantiate that. You don't got no shit that's tangible. You just got a damn story. And then they come with some shackles and a bell, and you say, yep, that's true. That's true, right? Mr. Smith 06 says, the law is only as good as the people who enforces it. Okay. Yayu Kabir, your sound is good. I'm riding with you, bro, all the way. I've been sub for 4 years. Thanks a lot there, Yahu Kabir. Glad to see you here. Now, let me see if I can try this once again. Seems like they don't want me to get this off, but we're going to try one more again. I ain't here to just be running and bumping. I have to get some, things to show you as I'm talking. So we'll try it again. Come right back. Check this out.
I do want to give you a chance to clarify some comments you made recently on white nationalists serving in the military. For those who are watching, if they haven't heard your remarks, this is what you said.
Do you believe they should allow white nationalists in the military?
Well, they call them that. I call them Americans.
Do you want to explain those comments, Senator?
Yeah, first of all, I'm totally against any type of racism, okay? I was a football coach for 40 years, and I dealt and had opportunity to be around more minorities than anybody up here on this hill. But when our military has been attacked, was being attacked after 9/11, after January the 6th, and that was my first day on the Senate floor, I thought it was outrageous of what senators from the Democratic side, Chuck Schumer said on the floor that night, calling out people, calling people racist, calling people nationalists, white nationalists. White nationalists is just another word that they want to use other than racism. I'm totally against anything to do with racism. But the thing about being a white nationalist is just a cover word for the Democrats now, where they can use it to try to make people mad across the country, identity politics. I'm totally against that. But I'm for the American people. I'm for military. I'm for Christian conservatives, Democrats, whoever wants to be in the military to fight for this country, to protect this country. That's what it's all about.
But just to be clear, you agree that white nationalists should not be serving in the U.S. military. Is that what you're saying?
If people think that a white nationalist is a racist, I agree with that. I agree they should.
A white nationalist is someone who believes that the white race is superior to other races.
Well, that's some people's opinion. And I don't think,
That's
I mean,
not
a lot.
opinion.
Pardon?
What's your opinion?
my opinion of a white nationalist, if somebody wants to call him white nationalist, to me is an American. It's an American. Now, if that white nationalist is a racist, I'm totally against anything that they want to do, because I am 110% against racism. But I want somebody that's in our military, that's strong, that believes in this country, that's an American, that will fight along anybody, whether it's a man or woman, black or white, red, it doesn't make any difference. And so I'm totally against identity politics. I think it's ruining this country, and I think that Democrats ought to be ashamed for how they're doing this, because it's dividing this country and it's making this country weaker every day.
But that's not identity politics. You said a white nationalist is an American.
It is identity politics.
You said a white nationalist is an American, but a white nationalist is someone who believes horrific things. Do you really think that's someone who should be serving in the military?
Well, that's just a name that has been given. I mean,
it's not. It's a real definition. There's real concerns about extremism.
So if you're going to do away with most white people in this country out of the military, we got huge problems.
It's not. Huge problems. It's not people who are white. It's white nationalists
that have a few probably
different
beliefs.
Right?
That have different beliefs. Now, if racism is one of those beliefs, I'm totally against it. I am totally against racism.
But
there's a lot of people that believe in different things.
Is racist, Senator?
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. But if it's racism, I'm totally against it. I am totally against any type of race, or any type of racism. I don't care what it's in.
All right. I got a message up here. Let's see what this message is real quick. All right. Dr. Kabir says, when I hear the word white nationalist, the KKK, and I also think the Michigan militia. Y'all Kabir there saying that, right? All right, so that's Tubberfield, right? Let me go ahead and put that up on the screen here. Like I said, got some technical difficulties happening over here, y'all. So I gotta be a little patient with it, right? All right, so let's put that there. Yeah, this one, yeah, it's big time freezing for some reason. All right, so let's go with what he just said here, okay? Now, again, today's topic is about what? Wash, rinse, and spin, okay? So we see Tubberfield, who said he's trying to clarify why the comments that when he talked about white nationalists serving in the military, and then she posed to him and said, do you believe they should allow white nationalists in the military? Now, again, people going to have their own interpretation of what a nationalist is, right? Now, either the dictionary define it as the one we going with, or we leaving it to everybody's own interpretation of how they want to interpret it. And that's basically look like that's what he's doing, right? So, because you see, the thing he went off and says is, well, they call them that. I call them Americans. Let me say that one more again. He said, well, they called them that, meaning white nationalists. He called them Americans. Now, those avid watchers over here, remember I showed you what Americans said according to what Webster said back in 54, was that the 1654, 1854, something like that, right? Right? Webster Dictionary said what American was, and American had meant that copper color race people. And then right up under that says, which now defines white folks, right? Okay. So is what he's saying when he say American, is it the interpretation that many people take when they say American that implies all those with those prefixes and with your Asian American, your all those, but there's no white man, just American, right? So okay, so is that what he means? Does he mean all, or are you talking about specifically? But let's look at some of the things he said in that conversation, right? So he said he's totally against any type of racism. Of course, right? Nobody is for the racist openly. Nobody is going to be say they're for the racist openly. Nobody, right? So we know that. We know that. I mean, unless you want to end his career right then and there. So we get that. We get that. We understand PR, right? So he says now this is how he's saying that why he's not a racist. He said he was a football coach for 40 years. Okay. He's been a football coach for 40 years. Okay. So that's like, well, he's been around a lot of black folks as a coach. So how can he be racist? Because he was a football coach, right? Mm-hmm. Right, he's all right. So he says how he dealt. He dealt with. He has been around, had the opportunity of more minorities than any in his field as a politician. So why would he be a racist? So being a football coach makes you not racist. Being around people who are not white makes you not racist. Well, what about if we was to if I was to have a conversation with, let's say, what was his name? Latrell Sprewell. Would he say that PJ Carlesimo was racist? Would he say PJ Carlesimo made him choke him around his damn neck? Did he say something to make him choke his ass around his damn neck? Maybe he did. Maybe just Latrell Sprewell was just a crazy, wild-eyed nigga. Maybe that's all it was, right? Maybe Donald Sterling, right? When he had that conversation, those who remember when I did the show, you heard that conversation to him, and he said, "Oh, he got the right," and that's our culture, right? Right. So just being around gives you anonymity, right, or exemption, right? Is that what that is? What about Bobby Knight? Was matter of fact, maybe we ask Isaiah Thomas. Maybe Isaiah Thomas would tell us that something we didn't understand and why he wouldn't stay there but more than 1 year. He couldn't take it easy. Matter of fact, I think when the Olympics came and he was the coach, I think Michael Jordan was kind of apprehensive because he said, yeah, it was a lot of he had a lot of cuss words and stuff like that. But maybe he wasn't racist either, right? Maybe not. What about Phil Jackson? Remember I did the show. Scottie Pippen was saying he believed he went on a little tour saying so what, and then Robert Horry came out and he said some crazy stuff too, right? And it was like, oh, Scottie, how could you do such a thing and say such a thing? He said, I know the man personally. What do you mean? Why am I gotta make all this up, right? So so somehow people being around coaching and athletics and so forth gives exemption to say nobody's racist. What about Mike Dicker? Was Mike Dicker racist? I remember a time there was a story where there was Michael Jordan, Richard Dent, Mike Singletary, and Mike Dicker and Mike Tyson were all eating at Michael Jordan's restaurant in Chicago. So Mike Tyson was already eyeing Michael Jordan because he said, back in college, it's possible Mike could have got Robin Givens. So he's like, well, you had my girl, huh? You had my girl, huh? Mike scared out his wit because this is Mike Day knocking niggas out like, you know what I'm saying? Like nothing. So they was like, Mike looking scared. So he turned to Mike Dick and say, now you say that shit you be saying to them to me. What did Mike Tyson mean by that shit? What did Mike Tyson mean when he said, now you say that same shit you be saying to them and see what happened? And said, mums was the word. He had nothing to say, right? So it's no real exemption just because you get to say that you're a coach, that you're not something. And racist doesn't necessarily mean from that standpoint, but to say bigot and stuff like that, right? And matter of fact, wasn't he the one that did that? Remember that show I did where he talked about and talking about the criminals, the criminals, and they want reparations, and he said they wouldn't get no reparations, right? Remember that, right? They. Okay, so with that being said, right? Okay. So now we talking about the military. Because see, military, police, pretty much the same these days. Matter of fact, I think a lot of police is recruiting those or was recruiting those out of the military, right? And so he said, now, did you hear that conversation when he kind of mixed it a little bit? He said the military was being attacked after 9/11. Like, what is he talking about? He threw that 9/11 in there, and then he said the January 6th. Wait a minute, you said 9/11, then you said January 6th. Now, which one did you talking about here, right? I'm talking about the military was being attacked. And he said this is the reason why he had said what he had said. So he went and blamed Chuck Schumer and calling and said, because Chuck Schumer was going out here calling them racist and white nationalists. And he said, it's just being a word that is they using today, other word to say another way to say racist, right? This is another way to say racist. So again, it's just a cover word. identity politics. See? Wash, rinse, spin. Wash, rinse, and spin. Right? It's a lot of that. We say identity politics. Somebody can play the game to their advantage and spin it, wash it, recycle it, then spin it back out to us, right? Okay? So when you think about the political attitudes or positions, is the focus of their concern when you come out social groups, when you talk about the white nationalists, right? Those who, that's what they do. They focus about their group, their social group, whatever's the concerns with them, and that's their political attitude and position that they hold. And he said they could be nothing but Americans. But then he says this thing, I'm gonna come to that message, I see you. He says that, he said, it's a people's opinion that white nationalists are racist. A white nationalist is an American. Then he says, and this what sealed the deal. He says, if a white nationalist is a racist, right? He said, then he's totally against it. Okay? He's totally against it. And then he says he's 110% against racism. Then he slipped up and said, well, if we are to do away with white people in the military, we're going to have a huge problem. And she said, but the white nationalists don't mean white people. So is it synonymous, white nationalists and white people in the minds of them? There's no distinction between the two, right? So you're washing, rinsing it. He tell you ain't no difference between the two. He said, don't matter what color you are to be in this military, as long as you're in here to defend what's in the best interest for them. Don't matter. But he don't call them racist. He don't call them that. He calls them as Americans. Right? There's no distinction in that. But see, you'll have some people who will wash that, rinse that, and spin it a different way. But he kept it for who he is, and he stood on that square. He didn't change it because she tried to make it change. He like, you know what it is. And there's a lot of people who try to tell us, because there's a lot of people say about, well, there is no racism, and I don't believe in it. It ain't about what you believe in that. And it's not all here to sit in and focus about that. Some things are being presented. It's for you to look at it and say, is it is or is it ain't, right? And some things that's unexplainable, and there's some things that are explainable. And so we look at how things are moving and getting in that position. We have to ask all the people that's coming here now, what position do they hold? We know that everybody coming here is checking the box. You have to identify. You have to self-identify, self-determine. So what are they self-identifying as? And if you come in with the group that supposedly has been founded on and based on and ran by, and you checking the box in that group, aren't you by checking part of them as well? Or you get the exclusion of that? And that's how they try to sell it to us. Like, I could be this, or we part of this, but we had nothing to do with it. That's what the individualism part come in at. Trying to make themselves to be individuals. Race has to be a team game, of team sports, not individuals. And when you try to make it an individual, that's to try to chide off of other people so they don't have to take, again, wash means to what? Take the corruption off, take the guilt away. So they're trying to wash it. They're washing it, right? So let me see, I got a comment here. Remember what happened to the Negro League? That's what Yahoo Kabir get. Yeah, the Negro League, right? Well, the Negro League, because why? Well, if you keep the Negro League, and then you had the so-called major leagues, eventually what's going to happen is the better players are going to be in this other league. So we can't have competition, because if we have competition, then we lose out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the best of your league and we're going to bring them and put them in our league, and that substantiates to keep our league going, and you'll go defunct. Did they not do that with the NBA, with the ABA? They took Dr. J and brought him into the NBA and collapsed the ABA. Did they not do that to him? Sure did, right? So there, a lot of people believe there's competition, again, talking meritocracy and competition. with as many people, we got 331 million people in here. That don't mean 331 million can actually play basketball to that level, right? A lot of us used to be ex-athletes and stuff like that, and we were good, so far could get scholarships and all of the good stuff. But there was only so many jobs in the NBA. But if there had been more jobs, there would be more players, right? So what happens is make these 400 to be the best of the best. Now, those who could still play at that level could be as good if they didn't. All they had to do was work out, eat, stay in shape, and they could get paid. You might see some other competitions against them and see if there might be some other great players out here that you ain't never seen. Many of us come out of them conditions in the hoods. We seen ones that were just as good as not. They didn't get no scholarship. We remember going back for those who remember when the NCAA, when the running UNLV, remember that? When Tartain, Tart went start recruiting niggas off the streets and getting drug dealers and right, and then UNLV became the best damn team in the league, and they ended up making a play against Duke, and they let Duke win, and everybody knew damn well UNLV was supposed to win. They had Larry Johnson. Remember everybody? Remember that? They were supposed to win that shit, right? But something took place, and they did not win. Because why? It wouldn't have been good for the league. It would not have been good for college. Just like you said, the Negro League, now everybody would start recruiting off the streets. Now you tearing it up. Matter of fact, he picked up, was it Lloyd Daniels? Remember Tark went to San Antonio, and remember he got Lloyd Daniels off the street, put him in UNLV, he excelled, left UNLV, became San Antonio, and brought him in, and that's how Lloyd Daniels got into the league. For that little bit, and they ended up getting up because again, they did not want that pipeline. Because again, the league sell you that the only people who they get is always the best ones. And a lot of them know, a lot of pros know there was somebody who was better than them. Some of them know there was more that was better than them. They just didn't get the opportunity. Because a lot of people just think that it's opportunity and you get it. Sometimes certain people just don't fit the program. They got the game, but is it all about game or is it about commercialism? Can you sell products? We can get anybody to shoot a goddamn basketball play. I mean, you guys got plenty of that. But can you sell shit? Are you marketable? That's the package. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, so with that being said, nationalists in the military and people upholding that, is there anything wrong with somebody having a position that they hold for their own people? Some people say, no, there's nothing wrong with that. There'd be nothing wrong with it if you hold up on your own about your people and self-preservation about your people first. Does that make you a racist? Or does the actions that you do that prohibit other people from reaching their potential and putting roadblocks and shit like that to prevent them because you can't really deal with the competition of it, right? And that's what the part where really racism is at is really the worst part of it. You saying nigga and I'm saying hungry, that ain't really shit. It's prohibiting me from establishing with my family and make me be a man, be able to take care of my family, or finding ways to trick me so that you can have me locked up so I can't, be a father, a husband, a pillar in my community. I have to be given time to you so that you can make profit. That's where the racism come in at. Correct? Some may agree, some may not agree with that, right? Anyway, so with that being said, that's what he said about that. And then, again, is there anything wrong with self-preservation for a group? Everybody like the ideal of we all this melting pot and diversity. But is Black Americans the only one hoping in that? And I say Black Americans, I know some of us could be indigenous, needy, Moors, all that good stuff. I get it. But we still gonna be the same people regardless of what you call it. It ain't about what I call myself, it's who I am. You'll never be able to take who I am regardless to what I call myself. And some of y'all are sticklers for that. And y'all get mad at people who are not at the level you are about the understanding you have, because maybe you come from people who were of knowledge of that. So it's your job to impart that to those so they can come up, right? To bring them up. So there's different stages in this. I might be a stage for certain people get to a certain level, then they move on and go up to the next level. You got to have that. Isn't that the way school works? You go from kindergarten to first grade, to second grade, to third grade, and up, and then you get to 8th grade, to high school, senior year, to be a freshman all over again, right? So there's stages in this. Why does everybody just want to throw everybody away because they don't know what you know? Everybody's situation is different. Everybody comes from different walks of background, from environments to whatever they're perpetuated through history. And some people have not broke the damn cycle, and others, you probably never been that low. So you don't know what it is, but you know from your perspective, right? So nationalism means all, but we've been sold, washed, rinsed, and sold individualism. And so a lot of y'all hold that dear. And some of y'all with glee in your mouths about the detriment of other people and how you believe a shit goes down and they get fucked up. And somehow it's going to be good for you. Well, at least for many of us, that means it's easier for you later on to be what? So you better start realizing you need as many people you need in this, no matter how you look at it. But, you know, maybe y'all just think like this.
Smell that?
Yeah, I smell something.
Smells good, right?
Yeah, you know, I think maybe we should go to another place. I'll be honest, ain't really very
Are you kidding? Tell me you don't want one of these pies right here, right over here.
Well, the pies look good, Carl, but I kind of lost my appetite when I came in here. My appetite just left.
Good afternoon, Billy. We'd like some coffee and a couple of slices of pie.
How do you know my name is Billy?
Well, it says it right there on your shirt.
If you boys can read so good, how come you missed that sign on the door over there?
Oh, that sign on the door that we just... How come we didn't see that sign that say no colors allowed, Chloe? We just rushed in. We was really hungry, so we kind of missed that. But we see it now, so bye.
Look, man, we've been traveling all day.
Yeah, let's go.
All we want is some coffee and a couple of slices of pie. Is that all right?
No, these are whites-only pies.
But do you have any Negro pies?
Hey, Chloe, come on now. This woman ain't got the recipe to no Negro pie. Where would she get that recipe? Another establishment, we can get us some pie or something. Come on, how far is it the next
35 miles.
Yeah, come on, let's go down.
I'm not driving no 35 miles to get no pie. Lady, ma'am, okay? Now, we want some pie, okay? We are hungry, okay? Billy, we want some pie.
Let me take care of this.
Why somebody got to die because you want some pie?
Let me take care of it. Look here, look. We from New York. My name Ray Gibson, okay? Let's talk turkey. How much it gonna cost to turn one of them white-only pies into nigger pie?
How about I turn y'all into nigger pie?
So you say about 35?
35 miles.
Okay, maybe find another establishment down the road, you know, where, you know, we won't have a problem. Yeah, I ain't no white...
You're talking about a nationalist, right? Last week I seen this pop up, right? I seen where that, what they call them, fresh and fit. And they had that Fuentes on there, right? Fuentes. Kind of white man is Fuentes, right? Don't sound like the Anglo to me, right? Fuentes sounds Spanish, but that's just me talking, right? So anyway, I seen a little bit of that conversation, kind of with a little trend a little bit. And again, my thing is, I seen people get on the young sister because she ended up, I think she was kissing that Fuentes at the end. And there was some things she said in this video for those of you who've seen it. And I seen some of the people who were critiquing her, and I'm not saying it wasn't worthy for people to critique her. But when people don't know the game, how you expect them to know? It's like saying on code. How you gonna have a code if nobody know what the code is? As I said earlier about different backgrounds, people been raised different. Some people come out of situations where they come from lines and lines of people who were just, they say the word ignorant, right? Miseducated, right? And so how do you break that cycle when somebody who's seeking that or have opportunities? And then if you can impart that, that's different. but just to sit in there and throw and say, hey, you know what? Y'all went all that at her. She said some things she didn't know, but that's our job, right? That's what we should do. When we talk about nationalism, how they do it, we need to do the same game. And I understand that we can't just go on just because everything is black and skin. We like to do that because a lot of people think that you can do that. A lot of people believe that the melanin skin makes us all the same just on that. You know, you got people from all over different walks that come from different histories who have different ailments based on what they went through. And they didn't come here to be a part of us. And yet some people hold that they gonna be here to be in a fight with you. They may have children, they got a generation or two that's here, but that ain't they fight, right? And you can't expect them to go all out on you because you come from something that's entirely different. So when I seen this, and I'm coming to that comment, I see somebody got a comment in there. I'm coming to that, right? So I'm gonna play a little bit of this. I just hope they don't knock me, y'all. They might knock me. If I don't come on next week, I'm telling you now, they knock me, right? Might knock me, may not knock me. But he gonna talk on this here. You got women, you got a show, you got the white cat here, the two dudes that's there, these two dudes, they from across the way, right? Or maybe a generation or so, right? And they got these women in here who are talking, handling this situation. And let me let you get a little bit of what was going on. And I got a little bit in there. I'm trying not to play because I don't want them to knock me. But we're gonna do it for, again, wash, rinse, and spin. Right? That's what we is. So let me hit that message before we go. How about that? I got two in there, right? I got the Yayu Kabir said, tell it. I got David Lanford. How you doing, brothers? Glad to see you stop by. Everybody needs some color pie, and I ain't talking about no oven baked pie either. All right, David, you own one, right? Fair use, right? Fair use. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that part. He's gonna talk about institutional racism. It's short. It ain't long. Because again, like I said, I'm trying to not to knock it, but I've seen so many people touch on this, and it's like, I get why y'all did that. But if ain't nobody laying down for those who don't know no better, if nobody ain't hearing that, how they supposed to know? They can come from, but again, some of y'all come from kiss ass, lick boot ass people. Let's keep that shit 100. Not all y'all don't come from 100 ass people. Mama could be you know what I'm saying? Daddy could be, granny, you know what I'm saying? Some of y'all come from them and been working to get some of that shit out of you. So when y'all look at somebody else, you never know where they came from. So constructive criticism helps, and berating somebody who may not know, they just didn't know. And she didn't know, and she learned a hard-ass lesson. But my thing is, we need to sometimes corrective criticism. That's all. Let's just be right back. I got your message.
Is diversion, but the systemic racism thing, that's really the critical thing. Right. See, I look at it kind of differently. You say that white people came and took the land and we built it off of blacks and everything. The thing is, though, where were blacks working or where were they slaves in America? They were slaves in the South, and they were doing agricultural work. And so as a consequence, they didn't really...
Are we calling it work? Or were they forced? Were they happy to be there?
That's forced labor is still labor, right?
That's forced labor.
So but the point is, it's agricultural labor. And, America's not built on, cotton necessarily. It's built on buildings and railroads and things like that.
That the majority of African American people actually help facilitate and make.
But the point is that, blacks picking cotton doesn't mean that they built America. Moreover, all of the wealth that they created in the South was destroyed by the Civil War. Civil War destroyed the entire South. And by the end of it, there was almost nothing left. They were occupied by the North for a generation. So, the notion that blacks built America, whites built America.
So you're saying that, black people just had to sit down and do the dirty work.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they were brought here. They were told to do the work. And they did agricultural work. But to say, blacks built America, they were always a fraction of the population. They were never.
Well, what I said is that the America was built on the backs of slaves, is what I said. And then also the other part of that is, shoot.
Well, going back to
we
the
said about the land
racism real quick, because you had said that you want black babies, and everything else like that, and then he said he wants white babies, and then you said, well, back in the day, there's a part of systemic racism that's what makes it racist. But my argument would be, if you look at someone like a Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, etc., they all push for black families to stay together, support black businesses. How's that different from what he was saying? Because they were also around during the civil rights era.
No, I didn't say him wanting to date within his race is racist. I didn't equate that to systemic racism. I was talking about his verbiage. The fact that he called it mixed, and the fact that it's blacks, and the fact that it's like, yeah, I like y'all, but I'm cool. Right. That's where the systemic racism comes from. That's also, and I'm okay with that. Like, I want to have a black family. I don't mind that. Like, I'm okay with that. I would never date seriously outside of my race. I wouldn't.
But would it be fair to say that systemic racism can be played on both parts? Because on the black community, they also were saying, hey, back then, same thing with the racist whites. There were also blacks that were racist back towards them. Like, hey, we're going to keep black culture.
But black people being racist that was a response. Yeah. That was the response that was met with racism. That was them standing up for themselves. That was them regaining their lives and their cultures and their identities. That's what they had to do.
But isn't racism, regardless of whether it's in retaliation or not?
Fair point.
I feel like this is an argument of like, what is the definition of racism? It's general disdain or hatred towards one racial group for no reason. Right. Or like wanting to date someone. And
sorry, stop there. So if it's whatever you just said, for no reason, right? We as black people had a reason to be racist. We had a reason to be angry. People literally came and took us from our families and beat us and made us stay here and work. That is not the same.
I absolutely believe that black people do have a reason to be angry. However, for moving the black community forward, I feel as if there has to be some level of evolution where the current white people do not necessarily have to pay for the sins of their potential ancestors.
Okay. So
I got a message. Let me get this message right quick. All right, David Langford put a thumbs up. All right, thank you, brother. Okay, all right. Now, that's Nick Fuentes, right? And then they in this show, and they're having this conversation. They're talking about, at this point, they're talking about institutional racism. Now, the thing is, some of us got daughters, right? Sisters, aunties, and so forth. And when they in these situations, you would like to have somebody, because it looked like that sister that's sitting next to him is doing the best she can. Now, everybody else that was in there, they wasn't as, knowledgeable to make that stance. So she did, in my eyes, she held her own as best as she could. And that's commendable. And that's the way it should be. Matter of fact, those who ex-gang members or shit like that, we got to get to the point where we're spitting our lit. To spit that lit means when it comes to our history, we should know our history is thoroughly more than the next person next to us. So that when people talking crazy, we're able to debunk that shit. Because do you not know, when we know our shit and we be talking to people, we be shutting people's mouth. That's why a lot of time people don't like when we Black Americans, Italians, Indigenous, Moors, Nijis, and all the, but when we start talking that truth, that's why we got the lowest numbers in the black corner. And yet you say black people are the most entertaining people. So that means that the black corner of the YouTube should be the hottest spot in the world. If Black Americans are the most entertaining, most talented people, why ain't the black corner the busiest section in the game? Because you got to make sure, because what'll happen if you think that because the culture that we present, whether good or bad, a lot of things are going to be followed. And so what'll end up following, just like what you see on TikTok, when black people get in there and start talking that, look at how that, so they want to get rid of TikTok because you in there making them have that come to Jesus moment, and they don't like that, right? So the same thing here. We had to be, spitting that lit is become like you know your name. You got to be knowledgeable about you and your people and about your history to be able to defend on the dime. It's like those who say they go to church and know that Bible, but a lot of them, you can test them on the Bible, find out they don't know nothing. They may know the story, but they don't actually understand the knowledge of the Bible or the things in the Bible. So you have to become and know how to spit your lip. She did as well as she could. Now, I say he's sitting there, he talking the things he's saying, right? He's saying that how systemic racism is a critical thing, right? That systemic racism is a critical thing. Critical why? Why is it critical? Systemic racism is the structure that was keep that thing in place, that keeps that position so you never go above, right? When they say CRT and all that, and that whole thing about CRT and what they did is took that word and discombobulated and made it to the fact that nobody really understood what the hell they were talking about when they talk about how the structuralness, when it came to when talking about law and the legislations and how that is the driving force that did a lot of the disenfranchising to us, right? So he says systemic racism is a critical thing. And then he talk about how white people to the land and how that it was, he don't like the fact that he said that when you say that America was built off the backs of blacks, why do they have a problem with that? My thing is, we don't have to say, I think we need to take that from our vocabulary too. Now, it ain't the fact that we built this is our shit. Say that one more again. Fuck all that talking about we built some shit. Why don't we just say this our shit? It's coming out. It's gonna come out. Eventually, it's going to come out, right? This our shit. Because when you, again, as I'm telling you about spitting your lit and knowing your lit, as you get deeper in there, you're going to start seeing the holes, the lies. And then you're going to say, you know what? That shit don't make no sense when they tell you this. When you tell you 16, 19, and talk about 20 odd, the third knee, all that shit. And you start, so when you know it, you're going to be able to know what's a lie. But if you only got the generalities, the part they washing and rinsing and spinning, and that become your truth, then you falling in that. But when you know something, so I ain't gonna tell you what I heard, I'm gonna tell you what I know. I mean, you're telling people what you know versus to what you think. What they say, shame the devil and he shall flee. Well, that's what she was trying to do. He goes and says that they were working as slaves in the South. See, spinning it. Oh, we were working? And what our understanding of today about work means that you punch in a clock, that you get a check after a week or every 2 weeks, right? Or salary, depending, right? So when you use the word work, we think you mean somebody getting paid. In his idea, the way he was talking about it was just work with something. You guys are just working in the South, because that's a lie too. They want to make, there's a distinction between the North and the South, as if like the North had nothing to do with the South. What if I tell you that those in the North might have been the ones who owned those who was in the South? And just because you own and you facilitated and pay and let them go down in the agricultural part, right? Let's just say that, we hypothetically speaking, because again, we know, again, there's some people who might get pissed off. Oh, you believe in that? No. We're going with the story they telling, right? Because again, this is how you're going to be able to discern and sift through the shit to get to the truth, right? So if you say that, then those in the North were purchasing and sending theirs who they bought down in the South. So now what you get to say is there was none in the North. Really? Okay. That's what they say, right? So he make it sound like, well, we brought you here just to work, and that should have been sufficient enough for you guys. All you guys are doing was agricultural work. You see, they shied it off as just like the least thing, easiest thing you could have did, and yet you couldn't do it. Y'all couldn't have done it. You weren't built for that. I don't know what kind of work you really was built for, but it sure hadn't to do with nothing but physical. Because when y'all tried it, you went belly up. The company went defunct, right? I got those two messages. I see those messages, y'all. I'm gonna come to you. So, agriculture. And then she was like, oh, so just work, huh? That's what it is. Well, labor is just labor. Yeah, when you're not doing the shit, labor is just labor. And so they want to believe that they could build something without your labor, without your energy. People like they like to make it, and so that's why you kind of seeing now this swapping and washing and rinsing till they're trying to bring these other people in and do the same thing. So again, remember, you heard it from here. Change your history and take you, replace you, and put somebody new, and then say, see, these people built it. That's what that whole thing about the infrastructure bill. And then when they're showing you now, when they in the watermelon fields and picking in all that, so that's just like the plantations. That's like picking cotton, where they picking fruits and watermelons and right. Trading places. Remember that? Trading places, right? Okay. So he goes on and talks about how America is not built on cotton necessarily. Well, you know, that is where you garner your, let's say, your economics from. Without it, there's no economics to do whatever else you think you were going to build with. It was the engine that created the excess or the excessive cash in whatever currency they was using at the time, because the show wasn't money, because the money don't come until then in World War I. So what was they using? Okay, that's I shouldn't have told you all that. But anyway, all right. With the bluebacks, right? For those down up in the right. Other than that, what was the money before then? Okay. Anyway, so he goes on talking about the railroads. Well, see, there's a myth about Chinese building the railroads. There's a myth. Yeah, you were laundry attendants. You was cleaning the brushes and stuff like that. But actually, physically building the railroads? Really? Your story? Show me it. Show me it. I hear the story. Show me it. Anyway. So he goes on, he talks about how that, blacks picking cotton doesn't mean that you built America. It ain't about picking no cotton. It's our country, period. It's our country. It's our country. Because that whole Native American in that game, that shit is coming unraveled. It's coming to fruition of the truth. You ain't going to be able to hold on that too much longer because it's going to reveal the truth in it. You ain't got much longer on that, right? And so he goes on, he talks about how the wealth was destroyed after the Civil War. Right? I mean, he said, though, that the wealth was destroyed after the Civil War. The American Civil War and Emancipation ended chattel slavery. Now, chattel slavery, those who was on the last show, chattel slavery had nothing to do with, let's say, somebody being enslaved. Not from that point. It's about the black woman birthing a child, and the child is naturally to be what? Ward of the state. Again, for those of you we had babies, before you get out that hospital, some little white lady with a clipboard come and sign your name. Huh? Is they still doing it? Now they're saying, now people say, oh, status and all that. Well, maybe it's the same game. Chattel. So you didn't end it because emancipation was just a wartime executive order. Once the war was over and Lincoln was dead, emancipation, no more good. Civil War, you have some people tell you what that Civil War ain't, what that Civil War you think it is. Something entirely different. So chattel slavery, what is that? So he said to reduce the fortune of the slaveholding of the household, right? The reason why they said they reduced the fortune is because of the emancipation supposedly is freeing you. In the South, a lot of the collateral off the people is where their wealth was at. So when you said you freed them, that took their wealth away on the heads per person that they had. So that's why he tried to say the Civil War killed it. But he doesn't know that it only took one generation and two to entirely get everything they lost from the Civil War. Let me say that one more again. Did you not know that it only took one generation for them to get their wealth back, and the second generation, it was back to where they was on top again? Because remember that Andrew Johnson is going to do what? He pardons them, gave them back all their property. The only thing they had to agree with, supposedly, is to allow our people to be somewhat acclimated in the system, which that never happened. Allow us to live amongst them with some fake ass contract saying somebody gonna pay you, but you know how that went, right? So the recovery was made with non-material advantages. Know how they got their money back? Social networking. See, they might have been those in the South, but that don't mean the other white folks they couldn't, you know what I'm saying, network with to get them back on their feet. They still have political connections, right? You know what I'm saying? It ain't what you know, it's who you know, right? So if you know the right people and they open some door for you and you get back in and get into the green, you get your money back. And here's people sitting there today talking about looking at black folks and saying, well, our condition, we've been here all this time and being deprived. And then you hear some people who can supposedly go bankrupt from Civil War, and then within 2 generations, they back to like it ain't nothing never happened. What happened to us, though? Now, when they talk about, when you look at that that wealth of that time, they'll tell you that when they were talking about white folks, the South compared to another white, let's say the South white that had, accumulated all the wealth because of so-called of the enslavement, they said to another white person it was 12-1, right? And before the Civil War was 15-1, okay? Now that's a Southern white to the Northern white was 12 to 15-1, but when you put us in it against them, it was 300-1. 300-1. And you probably ain't even won because you're not necessarily getting paid. And so when the only time that you can go back and really look at the wealth of that time, you got to go back to the 1860 census that supposedly is showing when you look at them categories, like if you start going back and looking at your lineage of your people, and when you see that 1860, they're going to list how many people they had. Because you're going to see what they call the slaveholder schedules. And that's where they was writing down the list of all that they had. Now, the other thing they said, there was only 20% of them that had slaves, and most of them had 1 or 2. Okay, so white people, 20% of all the white people that was in the South only had slaves 1 and 2. But what happened to the other 80% then? Who was them? Better go figure that out. Who was them other ones then? If 20% of white people in the South and they had 1 to 2, that's only 20%. The whole number is 100. Who held the other 80% then? Now do your work. Go do your work. Spit your lit. So let me see these messages. I got them to accumulate. Hold on, I want to accumulate. I got 3 messages. I got one here says, all right, I got David Lane from Mexicans and Latinos have taken over the majority minority power in America. This been going on, brother, since 1940. In 1940, there was 1.8 million Mexicans counted for on the census. By the time you get to 1960, there's 12 million. So what does that tell you? You see what we're seeing today? How much flooding in? It was happening then. From 1940, from 1.8 to 12 million, 12.8 million by 1960. So that means they were pumping them in here. They were pumping them up in there, right? And so by 1960s, we still outnumbered them, but by the time we get to 1990, they catch us up. Remember, we had been here from the inception. So people who are outsiders coming in catches up to us by 1990. Like a lot of y'all born 90s or so, yeah. They're as many as 12% of the population. And by 2020, they're 18%, right? And we still talking about battling between 12 and 14. Something happened. Something happened, right? So Yahoo Kabir Bey says, there's a maximum of law that says a laborer is worth his hire. Okay. Right? That's funny that, right? Athletes and people and professions can negotiate what they worth. Those of us who were, manual labor and so forth, we go into an interview and they used to tell you how much they're going to pay you. Some people just didn't say they was glad the fact that they got a damn job. Oh, we paying 8, we're paying 10, we're paying $12 an hour, right? Other people go in there and say, well, this is what I'm accepting. Are you willing to pay? Matter of fact, when white folks go to interview, they tell them the minimum they gonna take or what they gonna take. Now, is that you gonna hire me based on that? And yes, they would get hired. But when we went in there, you did the interview, then got the job. How much you pay? You see, you asked after. You didn't sit at the beginning. You just happy the fact that you might get a damn job. So labor don't get to tell how much. They tell you what your labor worth. Yet without your labor, a lot of shit can't be. And they get, again, labor's worth its worth, which is cheap like a cat. Like they said, they were saying back in the days, which I know was a damn lie, that it was cheaper to get a cat than it was to get a slave. Or a nigger was cheaper than a cat, which I know is a damn lie. Right? We know it's a damn lie. But they would say something like that. So anyway, David Langford says that the Spanish real was the major silver and gold coins money in the majority of the United States in the 1500s, 1700s. Right. But like I said, there was no paper money before the Civil War. So what money was they using? There's some of our people who teach that the money that they taken was our wealth. Was our wealth that they had been using. Right? There's some people who will tell you that. Depending on where you're going, what you see. David Langford says abortion in black neighborhoods are killing the black children. That's what they keep telling us. Just like when they talked about with COVID. Remember, those who remember my show I did when I was talking about when they were saying black people dying, they were saying 80%, 80%, 80%, 80%. I was like, God damn, 80%? But what number they using? You can say 80%. So again, the generalities in the mind of 80%, you thinking the totality of black people, 80% of the totality of black people was dying. So people were fearing, that put the fear in your heart. But what number was they using? So I went in there, found out what the number was, and I said, well, wait a minute. If I say 200 people, say 80% of 200 people, what's the number then? You get what I'm saying? You never know the whole number. You just knew the percentage. So when you say that black women are having more abortions, or you say killing more black children, is that because percentage wise, or is that the actual number wise? Because see, what they do is by we being smaller, let's say, okay, if we're only 46 million people and this other group is 200 million, you're going to say for our portion of people, the percentage is higher than that group. So you make our group, our women, to be the face of it. But they dying way more because they killing way more babies, but not by percentage wise. They never want to put themselves at the face of nothing bad. Because remember when they was talking about that in the beginning, it was them, the only ones that was getting it. And then it was like, all of a sudden, when they say, well, black people not getting it, then all of a sudden, wash, rinse, spin happened. Next thing you know, we the ones getting it. And remember, I said, those who watch my show, I said, well, how the hell that shit get in the hood like that? How did that get in the hood like that? All of a sudden, it was all up in the hood. Like, damn, wait a minute, what's really going on here? Right? But anyway, it's another thing for another time, right? But anyway, the thing I'm saying to you, David, is the fact that, yes, there may be a number that we're doing when it comes to that, and there also may be some help along with it, right? Because I had a conversation earlier today and was talking about the same issue, and it was said that, you know, they had kind of changed it where before abortions had to be a certain period of time where you could only abort. Then they changed it where they was getting like long, like beyond the fact they shouldn't even be doing it. So could that be the reason why Black women and children are dying? Because might be abortions at late term, way past the point that you're not supposed to be doing it, but they were doing it anyway. Because are they actually doing them in those clinics, or are they dying and doing them in them hospitals? Are they doing it, right? Think about it. Maybe. Kabir says, right, we've been 13% since the 60s. And matter of fact, y'all remember when I showed you in the 1980s that when it said that Black people had went up, what was it, 17% in our population? And what happened after that? When the 80 census came, crack came. Crack came in the 80s, right when you went 17% of the population outgrew everybody in the country, and then crack came. Yeah, that's what happened. Right? Okay. David Lane said, now else is the Black population not growing. How else is the Black population not growing? Because we control the stats. Is there a true count on us? How many of y'all really been counted in the census? They came to the, matter of fact, it was coming to the door and saying, fill it out. And if they, right, send it in. How many people really did that? What is the real number? Nobody knows. But y'all remember in 2015 what Joe Biden said about them. He told you, as again, for those who've been around since day one, remember the video I did, Extinction of the White Race, April 1st, 2014, went 300,000. You say, well, shit, you can't even get 100 today. You goddamn right I can't get 100. You damn right I can't get 100. Why I can't get 100? You don't know why? You don't know why? You don't never see none of my videos 200, always 100. And yet I'm going to go 11 years. The week after this and Wednesday will be my 11th year. So you tell me. So I told you, not because we were going to do something to them, but their birth rate. They knew since the 60s what was happening. They knew the decline. That's why when they was able to do with the affirmative action, why they did in 2001 and said that in 25 years you won't need it, is because they knew the demographics was going to change. Well, they were going to be on the minority side anyway. They knew they were going to be on the majority side anyway. So ain't no need for that. But the Edward Bloom used the Chinese to jump out the window with it. Guess what? They did that. So anyway, Aboriginal now said most Black women bow down to white men. You know, cause and effects is a motherfucker. It's like the remote control. You use it, but you don't know how it operates, but you know it make you get the job done. What they've done to our women from a remote control, something she can't understand, that we as men, when we dealing with each other in that manly way, we know a nigga on bullshit. We know a motherfucker all right with us. We read motherfuckers, right? And so when you look at it from race to race of men, right? You done hung around other people of other nations, and you know how it is. Either they look at you as some kind of, you know, there's some kind of equal, or they look like you ain't smart enough, or they think they, you know, it's different reads. So a woman can only, she's reading from the aspect of, like there's some, I seen a video, man, I don't even want to say her name. She pissed me off so goddamn bad, sitting there talking about how Black men can be no good, but just only going in jail, and you ain't did. So I don't know if she's trying to motivate from that position, or she just talking a lot of shit. But I was like, wait a minute. If we've been under this condition, fighting what we've been fighting all the time, and a lot of you say, oh, about victimhood, fuck all that. It is what it is. Until you can show me it's not, I don't know what you're talking about. So you got somebody who been fighting that grandfather, great grandfather, all the way up to where you at, trying to survive. What some motherfucker making everything difficult for you, even though you hustle and make ways. But he got it so rigged that the only way that a lot of you, if you want to just be a regular square, take care of family and do the right thing, you still got to sit down and try to get something from him. And so they say that prejudice is stronger than law. Did y'all know that? Prejudice is stronger than law. Why is that? You don't know how, motherfucker, when you're sitting down talking with them. You know what they true hold about you. You just assume you know that they're going to be right with you. And you believe that. But law is supposed to be what it is, even though they don't know how. But that prejudiceness will make them go all out to do all kind of things to make you go the long way around. And what happens is a lot of us is like boomerang. We start throwing the shit back at us. We blame ourselves. People say, I don't see nobody. Everybody keep talking about these people, and I don't never see them. I only see me. That's because it's remote control. It's remote controlled. You don't understand how to remote control it. You're not sophisticated enough to know what the remote control is. And so what you do is you put it on yourself. You reflect back in the mirror. You see you. You know, it's like an animal. They ain't never seen his own reflection before. Scared of it. First time you'll see a bear or gorilla go by, it's scared and jump and shit. Like, oh shit, that's how I look. Then it gets accustomed to seeing itself. It's not scared anymore. Problem is we scared every time we see each other. Because why? Programmed that way. He's scared of you, so he make you scared of you. He make you feel like his ice colder, the sky is bluer where he at, his grass is greener, his schools is better, his woman is better. You understand? And you perpetuate that shit. And you find you comb worse than he do. You more worse than he is when it comes to doing that. And that's become perpetual. And some of us grew up in households where people were older, had bad sentiment. Don't you ever bring no little nappy head ass woman on my house? Don't you know what I'm saying? Don't you bring no dark skin, a lot of shit that only y'all know what it is. So I'm just gonna keep it straight and keep it talking real, right? Right? That's what I'm gonna do. But that's just what it is. Some of us come from people who were taught that, and it just passed on and on and on, and we haven't broke that. So when you say our women's are like that, yeah, they like that. That's because you got to have somebody in there who is there to respect and give that game to them to make them see. So a young girl can only get that if she got a father that's going to lay out the game to her. Not so much just about just men, but in life and how shit go. But if they don't got that, and we all being raised by the woman, and the woman is being educated by the system, and the system is remote controlling, fine-tuning her motherfucking mind to his specifications, then what you think she gonna be? She ain't, of course she gonna do that. He's fine-tuning her. The video I did when I told y'all that this is his replacement because he found out his woman can't have babies no more. Huh? He found out his woman was having a hard time in vitro. Remember that whole in vitro and all that stuff? Shit. Remember, I laid that whole game out to you. I showed you, just like what's her name? The tennis, Venus, Serena, almost died trying to have that baby. Why? Because they got to do something to you to make that compatible. But they don't nobody want to get into that part about it, right? You want to get into that part about how they got to do some things to make your body not kill that baby because it's foreign to it. Oh, I'm lying? I'm lying? Am I lying? You understand? So I have to learn. I got to shut your defense mechanism out because it's going to kill this foreign element in there so that you're going to have this baby. And that almost killed her. But nobody will talk about that part of the game, right? We just compare. We're all the same. Biologically, it will tell you maybe some difference. They'll tell you, you got to turn you got to turn that off so they can get up in there. Vice versa, either way, the other way. They don't tell you about that part. But anyway, don't pay no attention to me. I'm just talking. All right. Got some message. Y'all hold me up. I'm going to go ahead. Crack did cause a lot of black death and pain supplied by the CIA. Yeah. But you know what's funny is when you go, David Langford, you know what? If you go look at the numbers, you would say, well, damn, how come our numbers didn't dip? How come our numbers from 80 to 90 didn't dip? How come our numbers didn't really dip from 90 to 2000? Matter of fact, shit, let me show it on the screen. How I could do it. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me show you something. Look on the screen here. Let me show it up on the screen. Look on the screen there. Okay, look up on that screen. Let me move that out the way for me. I got you, y'all, Kabir. I got you next. Right? Take that down. Ain't nobody, no. Let me take that down. So y'all don't know. Yeah, y'all know, right? When y'all don't hear me no more, just remember, right? Just remember. I tried to tell y'all, right? So if you look on your screen there, right, you see 1960. I don't got the, wait a minute, I have to upload that other one. Because if you see on your screen there, you see that that's 19, okay, no, that's 90. Okay, that goes to 90. Okay. So look at the numbers. Look at, you see black, you see white, American Indians, you see Asian Pacific Islands, other races and so forth. This is the census right there. So I ain't gonna tell you what I heard, I'm gonna tell you what I know. Right, you see that, right? You see that. All right, so if you look at 1980, black people is, according to it, 26,400,000, look like 95,025, right? And then you go up to 1990, it didn't grow a lot, but it grew up about 500,000. So just, okay, go back from 70 to 80, how much did we grow? We grew millions. So yes, we did not grow a lot between 80 and 90. If you compare 1970 to 1980, you see almost a 4 million, a little less than 4 million growth in 10 years. But from 80 to 90, if you look at that number, look like, wait a minute, hold on, look like 26 to 29. We still went 3 million. So what they talking about then, right? There was a lot of crack babies. There was a lot of dying because people were elbow rooming and trying to make that money. But we were still having babies even with that, right? You can see the numbers. It's not me just talking. You seeing it right on your screen. You just got see the section it is, find the number, and look at it, and you see that you'll see. Now, remember I told you in 1940, look at 1940, and look at where the Hispanic is. You see 1,861,400. That's 19 what? 40. Well, actually, that's 1940. Well, actually, it was 1,858,024. That's 1940. And then when you get to 1960, it jumps to 9 million, which is basically, look at that, 7 million growth in a what? 20-year period. Then it goes from that 9 million to 14 million, 14 to 21 to 22. And then you look at our numbers. They catching us up. They 22 million, we 29 million. They caught up by 1990. So when the 2020 census came out, they surpassed it, but yet we not growing. Is it because also the fact that a lot of you brothers is going to get babies with other people? And sometimes y'all might be having babies that was with white women and they still made that baby white to keep them numbers. You never know. You never know. We know we've been told about the one drop, make it black, but look at his numbers. Go all the way back to 1790 when he was 3 million. Okay? His big increase came after what, 1880 to 1880 to 1890. So it looked like from 1860s, he's 31 million. Well, that's the total population. I'm sorry. Total population. We got to go to his section. So you see from 1850 Or 1840, he's 14 million. And then in 1860, there's 26 million. They damn near doubled. See? So they just bring in a lot more. And then look at us. Look at our numbers. We 4,400,000. That's why you be hearing me say 4,441,830. That's what we was in 1860. 4,441,830. Right? And that's the number we've been since 1860 till we is today. And you telling us now that we took about 46 million. So how does a people who've been here since that long and another person from outside, from somewhere else, now is more populated than us, and then saying we don't know what's going on? We don't know? Okay. We don't know, y'all. All right. Let me read some more of these. Okay. So y'all, Kabir says that post-traumatic slave syndrome. Yeah, okay, they say, what they say, eighth wonders of the world? Well, we the ninth wonders of the world, right? Black Americans are the ninth wonders of the world because we ain't supposed to be here. We supposed to have no sense. We supposed to be out of our damn minds, right? But we persevere and we still strong and we still, being really, you know what I'm saying? Really trying to be replaced, right? But based on what we've gone through, the peculiar institution called slavery in here, that everybody from everywhere else will tell us they had boat. They'll tell us about being on the boat, but they don't tell them the conditions are not nowhere equivalent to what we've been through and what we still go through. Nobody has been through that. We the nice wonders of the world. And yet nobody want to respect us because of envy, jealousy, and everything else. And yet y'all got more than us. That's what's crazy about the whole damn thing. Y'all got the things that we want to be, to just be to ourselves. And a lot of shit that you wouldn't see is about economics. If we economically straight, then what the hell y'all gonna do? Y'all ain't gonna be able to do nothing but sit back and watch us glow, watch us shine, do our things. Not doing the shit that they keep perpetuating and showing us how we doing all that shit because we're trying to survive. When we don't have to survive, what would you see? Wouldn't be the shit y'all showing. It's gonna be y'all doing that shit. We're gonna be shaking our heads and looking at y'all like, what the hell wrong with y'all? But our condition is based on y'all say y'all coming for a better life. That's because you all designate us to be at the bottom, be your footstool to step upon. And so then again, the sickness, as you say, is based on the fact that what happens is, like the Ouroboros, the snake got to eat his own ass. So what happens is the choices among us who become educated and do a little better have to hate the ones that's at the bottom and say, you have to find them to be something wrong with them, and not saying that this is the cause and effect of the shit we've been enduring. So you turn on them too. System ain't got shit for people who poor. You could be finna be homeless and poor and they won't even fucking help you. And yet that's what the shit supposed to be there for. But they can bring everybody from around the goddamn world, have something for them, but when it come to you, we can't help you. And everybody say, why y'all still holding that? It's systemic racism and shit. And yet when you go to California, you look in the streets, who out there, who the predominant ones in the streets? Anyway. Aboriginal knowledge says, I agree, they're falling for the trap. We all fall for the trap in one way or another. Right? We all falling for the damn trap. It's laid, it's a rigged ass game. This shit can't function if you don't have a people that's permanently at the bottom. And so the psychological shit is to bring people who come from other places and have their ass here, sit here, and then they say they come here, they ain't telling you they're already educated, they're already coming from people who, from families that are established already. And they coming in, they getting a low ball that normally that most of us Americans who understand the game, you can't pay me that. But that also allows me to X this other group out the damn game, and then I make everybody look at them as a sign of the wonderment is, look, they ain't shit. They don't want shit. They ain't about shit. And a lot of y'all eat that shit up. And you believe that to the fact that our own people look at our own people and act like you forgot about how the fuck we got here. That's how it go, man. That's how it go. Yaga Bill says, isn't there a saying in the conscious community that women deal with their emotions? Again, I'm not here to beat up on our black women. I'm not to give them a pass either. But what I'm saying is, how do I get to you? I fuck you up through your woman. If I want to get to you, I'm going to get through you through your goddamn woman. If I can fuck your woman up, which means I fuck up your baby factory, which everything that's cracked, it's like saying having a vase. You have a mold for the vase. But if I put a crack in the mold, I crack everything that motherfucker make. Facts? If I make a mold that makes the vase, and if I can crack the vase, if I can crack the mold, I crack everything it make. That's why I call it crack. I'm going to crack everything that produces from it. And so you're just seeing the residuals of it. Now, those who come out of different families, environments that was able to find a way to maintain, this doesn't apply to you. But of those of us who came from that other tier, from out that mud, that come from a lot of crackness, we're byproducts of that. And a lot of us are fighting to get the fuck out of that shit. And sometimes we think getting out of it means getting away from our own damn people. We think it's better to be with other people than to be on our own damn people. And so what we do is we shit on them too, as if we don't know why they do the shit that they do. And they say, we come with all these things that they drop down from above and tell you that you're a victim. You're playing the victim game. You're playing the blaming game. You're blaming somebody for, well, God damn it, when have I ever been whole? You cracked the mold. You can never be full value. Let's say you was to take that and try to make it so it could get evaluated to see a value. They're gonna be like, well, shit, I can't give you full value because it's got a crack in it. So a lot of us function even cracked. That's why we the eighth one, ninth wonders of the world, cracked and still potential than the motherfucker. We so plentiful in it that it's so goddamn scary that you got to keep changing the goddamn game up. Because if we ever get a chance to get a nice run in it, we're going to run away with it. So you got to keep changing the game. See, what's happening is what you see in a lot of people that's out in the damn streets is because they was in the game when the game was more factory, labor, you know what I'm saying? Labor oriented. Then when you change the game into technological, them people are outdated because when they came into the game, you could come right out of high school and just get a damn job, take care of your family and be okay, retire 20, 30 years later, and you went off into the sunset like grandmama, granddaddy and them did. But you was the crossover generation. You the X generation. You the beginning, you the end of old school, you the beginning of the new school. And so when new school come around, you see how it is and the access and stuff that you got, and you look at the people back in you, and you don't even realize they had 100%. They had in public schools a century-old education. They was in the 20th century. They were getting 1900 century education. How does a motherfucker compete with somebody he 100 years behind in the education they giving it to him? So what you do is you take the choices from amongst them, you take them and bring them in on your side, helping to keep your shit. And a lot of you, what you do is you end up being the ones that work against your own damn people. You work for things that be against your own damn people, and you think, I made it. Yes, you did. You're made to be against your people. That's what you made to do. That's what you made to do. But you don't see it that way because you don't understand how this motherfucker works. You ain't been here long enough. And they make sure that people like myself, you see my numbers? Can you believe that somebody can be around that long? Some people say, man, no, what is he saying? David Langford says the damn government is out to do away with all the people below the income level of $500,000 per year. Remember the Georgia Guidestone blew up, didn't it? What did that mean? Remember the Georgia Guidestone just blew up out of nowhere, something shot them up and blew it up? Remember it said 500,000 was, right? Then we hit the, they hit the, was it 9 billion mark? So what happened? What, did the Most High blow it up, or who blew it up? I don't know, right? To be, it says facts, right? So with that being said, let me show you another number. Let me show you something. Let me what I just showed you here. I don't know, but we're gonna finish it up. But let me show you something, because I got more stuff, but I want to show y'all this. All right, look at your screen here, right? Look at your screen. Let me show this number. Let me show this number I'm showing you. See that number there? You see India? You see China? You see the United States? They want you to believe that the United States is the third populace on the planet. See that number? See it? 340,068,400 and look like 69, right? That was live of 2023 live, right? Look at India. India surpassed China, because you know why? China gonna suffer now because it killed all them girls. Remember, it was killing all these baby girls. I ain't got nothing but a bunch of men. And where they going now, y'all? Where they planting now? Okay. All right. So India that took over as the #1 spot. 1,429,145,483, right? China at 1,425,657,367. United States 340 million, right? Look at that. Look at that. From 1.4 billion drop down. Now you say, well, where's Africa at? Independent. You're not together. They carved you up. You still believe, because you see, your independence is the same thing they say Emancipation Proclamation. You can't be counted. They're not counting as a continent. They individualize it. Look at Nigeria, 224,012,552. But if you look at that, if you see the top 10 nations or top 11 nations in the world, Russia is #9, and the United States is third. Third, right? Ethiopia is 11. Mexico is 10. With 128 million people. So, if the population inside the United States is 340 million and we 46 million, where you think we at in the world, y'all? Where you think our numbers is in the world as black people? Let me show you something. What I say? I told you 46 million. What number would we be in the world as a nation when it comes to population? You see it? I got you could be in the way. Huh? Let me get him out the way. I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry about that. Hold on. Let me move that out the way. Right? See that number? That means that Black America would be the 33rd largest nation in the world. We a nation. We a nation. We a fucking nation acting like we some damn little people. That's our problem. That's our motherfucking problem. We not acting like a nation. We acting like, you know what I'm saying? And that's why, That's why we be checking motherfuckers when they be coming from other nations. And let me tell you another secret. All these other people, Haiti, Jamaican, and all them, you know why they running their ass in here? Because you don't know how many it is of them. They ain't shit. Some of them ain't even got 1 million of them no more. A lot of them ain't even got that many of them no more. But they run up in here talking crazy, grabbing, saying, taking shit. Oh, this our shit now. No, you let somebody else take your shit. That's what it is. Now y'all in here trying to take our shit. That's what the game is, y'all. That's what the game is. That's all it is. Aboriginalist says, I'm not just blaming black women. I'm just saying they play a part too. I met a lot of black women with mixed children, not just black men. I get, bruh, I'm not saying you blaming them. what I'm trying to say is, who became, remember they made that big ass thing about black women being the most educated in the United States, the most educated of the women, right, in this country. What does that mean? What does that mean to you when you say the most educated? To me, you drink more Kool-Aid than everybody else. And if you're drinking somebody else's Kool-Aid, you know the flavor and the taste, and by osmosis, you're going to become like them. So she become culturally a little different from you and start now bringing home Grey Poupon and the shit she learned from a motherfucker she rich. Now it's compatible in the conversation because you can't talk about some of the shit she learning, so there's at least a list of interest. But he's grooming that. He was grooming that because he understood the day come, he need to make a transfer, because that's why they was arguing with your ass and talking about Stephen Curry is white. Beyonce, if I had to be black, I would look like Beyonce. Do you get it? Now you see why they was grabbing your sisters now? Grooming her. Because his woman, now that you grabbing her, right? You may have the potency to get her to have it, but two incompatible, two less potent people can't produce no more. They can't produce no damn more. So I got to go higher. I got to get in. I can only live again through you. We not coming back. Yeah, you get me? They not coming back, but through you, I can come back. So I had to train her to be compatible and make her hate you, war with you, so it make it easier for me. Because when he get the ones of ours, he get the most choicest ones. We be looking like, oh, that nigga pull him up. How you pull her? You get what I'm saying? He don't never. Now again, some of our sisters from the low end, they be finding them up, but they don't be getting a white boy because he know he not gonna get her. He not gonna get her. He ain't gonna go just because of the look. He looking for a certain kind of quality. So he programming you. He got her program, and in that program, just like he is to you, it's programming her the same way. So you're gonna have problems because somebody threw a monkey wrench in your motherfucking system. So guess what? There you go. You know what I'm saying? That's where it's gonna come. That's where it's gonna be, right in there. Threw the monkey wrench in your shit. So guess what happened? You fighting her because incompatibility, because what done happened is sister done forgot. Our sister done forgot she used to remember putting the fork with the bologna over the goddamn stove when we were trying to cook. We put the fork with the bologna and fried the motherfucker over the eye. Remember that shit? For those who know what I'm talking about, right? Put the fork with the bologna over the motherfucking eye, and we make the sandwiches and shit. Get the hot sauce sandwich, the syrup sandwich, the mustard sandwich. She got to the point she don't ever want to be there no more. He made that the worst thing ever in life when it was the best time, like good time. It was good times. Not saying that we live in poverty and we relish in the shit like a pig in slop, but that's where we came and we came. And so to not go back there, some people do whatever it takes not to ever go back there. And if that means I'm against you, so I don't go back, there's motherfuckers who work in a lot of places doing shit so they don't have to go back. Because around your own people is the worst place. Around other people is better. So you became incompatible, not because it's because somebody threw a monkey wrench and made you incompatible based on what I'm programming her. You know when they do a horse, when they break horses, remember the Willie Lynch talk about the horse? He gets the woman to eat out of his hand, so she teach the baby how to eat out of his hand too. But if that father there, the father kick it, the nigga, get away from him. You don't need to eat that shit from him. So you keep the man away from him. But then the woman, he done trained her to eat out of goddamn hand. And she gonna raise up. So everybody be some complaining to myself, we've been raised by women. Well, I wonder where that program came from. Where it come from? Is it part of a design? Or is it just black men don't want to be with their damn children? And then when you look at TV versus how a woman look at TV is different, right? You can sit there and watch, let's say, for instance, those of y'all who Gen X, you can watch a lot of that Brady Bunch ass, Partridge Family, Different Strokes, and not get caught up in the fact that you really don't see yourself. But when the little girl watching it and all she see is Marsha, 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 right? And twitching her motherfucking hair, and the baby doll she got, she don't see herself. So what is she fantasizing about? You see him today with all them color heads and the long ass hair. Y'all see him? They haven't got that out of them. Right? Became acceptable. We let it be acceptable. Okay? Can't tell her. Right? So she got that. She got it deep. It's deep. It's deep in her. For you, you got partners. Because see, men, we learn to grow up and we recognize this system because we deal with it differently than my sister and my auntie. She kick it with, she be kicking it in, partners, or she in the crew and all that shit. She gonna have a different raising than other women or girls that don't come through that. So the sisters that come like that, they're a little different. They cut different. Right? They cut a little different. But see, if you got that one and then she's, and it's just a perpetual, then matter of fact, when the drug game came, you remember, see, that's when the name brand and shit came. So when the player could get the money, he could get the best looking one because what they happened. So the ones that came up out of, say, those 50, 60, 70 was telling them how to get the money from his ass. So it became about a money game. So now if you look good, you can get some shit because you look good. And then that shit played for us, why for it did with some motherfucker going to jail and losing shit. And they got tired of going in a hamster on the wheel. So then they said in the 80s, they started saying, well, shit, let's start going to school now. And then they finally, for wishing itself by getting the millennials, now they too educated. For most men. Some men intimidated by a woman that shit, come on with that shit. Go on, kick that Willie Bower with that shit. You understand? That shit is good enough for a job. That's what it's good for. Going to school, get educated for a motherfucking job. Don't make you a better motherfucking person. A lot of assholes with motherfucking degrees and shit. Come on, we know that shit. Teach you how to operate because the system, this is what's training you so you can make the next level where they move it to in the system. You're just a part of it. New crop coming every year like the NBA got a draft. You don't stay sharp on your game, another motherfucker coming in trying to take your spot. That could be powerful. Mr. Spencer said, yes, sir. Right? So that's what it is, man. Y'all done made me go over here. I wasn't even supposed to go here, but I went here any motherfucking way. It is what it is, right? So with that being said, look, man, with the population and shit and these numbers, we're a nation in this motherfucker. But the problem is the unification can't happen because there's a dilemma here. One man needs somebody to make babies with, right? For him to continue on as much as that Nick Fuentes was sitting there having a conversation. Matter of fact, let me show you something he said. As I'm talking about that. Now listen to what, remember everything I just told you, listen to what he tells them. He don't talk about racism. Listen to this.
And indirectly also, yeah. So I thought I'd ask the panel, and this is really prompted by Myron, because, I respect everybody's opinions on this, but what does the panel think about race mixing? You all have black boyfriends, except for the Jewish boyfriend. Why don't we start with you? What do you think about race mixing? Do you think about this? That's a fair question.
So, I actually don't necessarily call it race mixing. I call it interracial dating. Right after that, I don't know the exact time frame, but I believe in the 1950s, that's when interracial marriage was legalized. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I can't put a correct date to it. But I don't think it's inherently bad. I don't think it's inherently something we should strive for. If it happens, it happens. I know there are certain people who their dating preferences are anti one specific race. I do not agree with that. But if someone comes from like a very Asian family and they're like, listen, for cultural reasons, for like getting along reasons, for integration reasons, it's going to be in my best interest to date another Asian person. I really do get that. But if someone is like, you know, an Asian person who says, I'll date anyone besides Hispanics, that's, you know, it's a little sticky.
I see. Why don't we just go around the panel? Can I say my position first?
Yes,
Is that
go.
all right?
Yes,
okay. I know. Yeah, you guys are probably curious. So here's my position. Okay, it's a little. Okay, you're going to be surprised about this, I think.
Me?
Yeah. So I've actually said on my show a lot. It's a little controversial in my community, but I'm actually attracted to women of all groups, of all races. Okay. Okay. See, I'm 21st century. Well, here's the controversy. But I would never date someone from outside my race.
I agree. Okay.
But here's why. So I'm Catholic. You know, my body count 0. I want to have sex with my wife, just my wife. And I only want to have sex to have kids. And I want kids that are from the same group as me. I want white kids. So naturally, it follows if I want to have a wife and I want to have white kids, then I shouldn't date someone outside my race because I'm not going to marry them.
Correct.
So that's my position.
Yeah.
But we'll go around. What do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts on it in general? What about you? So you're
All right. So we're back, right? So you heard his position, right? Now, again, he in there with a bunch of women. Now, he running game on him. He trying to say, you know what? I'm 21st century white nationalist. I like other women from other groups, but you know, but but technically, when I get married, he said, now again, by him saying it, is he telling he wouldn't sleep with them? But he tried to use the game and say that, oh, my religion, my body count is 0, right? Oh, my body count is 0. Wait a minute, put that back up on the screen. Wait a minute, hold on. Put that back on the screen up there. So he trying to say that his body count is 0. He trying to entice, right? He did get that once, so that's why everybody went off, because that's what he's doing, right? That's what he's doing. He's enticing them with that conversation by saying something like that, making him more sensational. But he told him, well, you know, Mary, I'll sleep with you, right? But when I come to have children, I want to have white children, right? Okay. Let me show y'all something. Because that girl in there, that one that had said that, the little light-skinned one, the reason why they were laughing in the beginning is because she is the only one in there that don't have a black boyfriend. She got a Jewish boyfriend, okay? She got a Jewish boyfriend. And remember, she was the one that initially, when I showed about the systemic racism, she believed that white people shouldn't be accountable today about what happened in the past. Now, she probably black, okay? That's her position, but see, she's already compromised. Again, you can be with whoever you want to be. I'm not here telling nobody whether you're supposed to be. That's your own preference and your own choice. But under that situation, you've already been compromised, right? You love who you want. So I don't think that you will be a good advocate to speak about black things when in your household, who you lay with, how can you take the strong position of what should be right when at home you have to play the kind of politically correct role? Otherwise, your relationship ain't going to work. And so let me show y'all. She said about marriage. He said about marriage. But let me show you something. Let me show y'all something y'all might not know about. Let me show y'all something. You ever heard of this before? Right? You know, June 12th is Loving Day, when interracial marriages finally began legal in the United States. Let me say that one more again. June 12th is Loving Day, when interracial marriages finally became legal in the United States. Now, this picture that you see right here, this one I'm going to show you, that is Richard and Mildred Loving. That's who you seeing there. And this is after their June 1958 wedding. This is where your beginning of your interracial becoming legal. This is the people who that was. This is who this is based on, right? Now, this was a newlywed couple, right? And what happened, how the story go back, it was that the police had came in a bedroom with a flashlight and they had come to arrest them. And they said Richard, which is the man who he saw with that woman, which is she's a black woman. And he asked her, well, who you sleeping with? He said, his wife. And the sheriff said, not here, you're not. And so what they do, they end up taking them to jail. And this case end up going to the Supreme Court. The Lovings, what they called them, had committed what they call in Virginia, they call it unlawful cohabitation. That's it, cohabitation, right? Unlawful cohabitation. That was the name of the law, right? Now, accordingly, Mildred is black and Native American, and Richard is white. Okay. Now they say Native American and black. Now you're looking at her, right? You're seeing her, right? Okay. Now, the case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and it was June 12th of 1967 where they won their case. And so that's why they talk about that particular day, June 12th, is the Loving Day. That's why they call it. So it was the Loving versus Virginia, and they said that their marriage was considered in Virginia unconstitutional as a Virginia law. By what? Prohibiting of mixed race marriages. And the legalized interracial marriage in every state is what ended up being because of this. Now, again, you can love who you want. People have been fighting this. And again, it's funny how when you go back in history, that these people will sit here, deem you as not humans. They call it all kind of monkeys, but they sure they have a problem sticking a private in you. And that go men and women, right? They, that's what butt breaking and all that was about, right? We've seen that. And so, as he said, that he's different compared to them back then. He's a 21st one. He don't have a problem. That's that Fuentes. He don't have a problem looking at you, liking you, and he might even date you. But when it came to making his baby, his preference is self-preservation because he want to make sure he had white babies. See? As you heard, Tubberfield said that white nationalists are Americans. And his understanding of a white nationalist is that the preservation of Americans, and again, Americans is not necessarily meaning everybody in America, but specified by the group who can deem themselves as the original Americans, which really they stole it from our people who are the true Americans, but they, snatched it and then named themselves. And so preservation of themselves. But we don't have that because we have been under the tutelage of that programming that we have this love everybody mentality, which you can love who you want. And so when you water your group down and the consistency becomes weak, right? They're trying to build theirs up. So when we do all this, what are we doing? Are we hurting ourselves, or have we got to the mindset that it's not about group, it's about individuals? And then when you come to about birthright, and when you're talking about, let's say, birthright and property rights and land rights, if you water down the nation that is supposed to be the originals in here, what happens when it comes, it's kind of like taking that DNA test and trying to find who your family is in Africa. You're going to be so mixed inside, so many diluted, even though you didn't come from Africa, but you think you do, that you're just going to give you a side of town and you're going to be cool with that. But it ain't going to be sufficient enough to make you to be able to have rights to something. You get what I'm saying? And so what happens is you can hear him as Nick Fuentes. I don't know if he ain't even 30 yet. But they understand that they're trying to self-preserve themselves. we see that based on the numbers I showed you, we still not growing according to what they're not counting and maintaining us and keeping us there. But there must be some kind of reason that you're flooding in all these other people right in front of everybody's face. And it just seemed to be ironic that that topic went away. I think it was just the main topic that was going down about them coming here. All of a sudden, it stopped. Ain't no more talk about it. Just went away. Like it stopped. It didn't stop. It didn't stop. Because why? One, black people becoming a little bit more astute politically about the game and how to play instead of just running the mill and just going in and just unanimously picking a party just because Grandy and Daddy and then was one. Now it's about politics and what we're getting and right, intangibles and things like that. And so a party said, well, we're not going to concede to none of your demands, so we got to find a way to get around you. And that's part of it. But then the other part is, well, they need somebody too. Because it's funny how I showed you that India, all of a sudden, they went past China. Why? How's India having so many babies? And I remember some time going back, I remember that white folks was going over there and having white babies so they can have white babies. Because, you know, the origin of white people go back to when they were Indo-Europeans. So that's kind of like his origin in some way. That's so you can see that the Indian can make the baby because, you know, they be having a lot of there's a lot of funny things that happen over there with them, right? And I used to have a picture they used to show that when the albinism of one of them, it looked just like a white person, right? Like he'd be producing, they look like a straight white person, right? Because again, we still haven't found where's the origin of white people at. You know, that whole Darwin shit is talking about evolving from a monkey and then they come from out of that. They didn't go through the monkey, let us go through the monkey for those who believe in that. But they didn't come from that, right? And then there's those who have the tendency to say that everybody come from Africa. And then when I say, well, then should that be the case? And everybody African, because how else did you get here? A lot of people don't like that shit, right? So if they not, then where did they come from? Another question for another time, right? So you can love who you want. That's your business. You can fight for that. For the intimate, but you got to ask in the game of how they playing, does it benefit us? Milking us down, becoming where it's hard to find the origin or it starts splitting, it makes it harder to trace back. And when all the truth finally come out that we them people that was here all along, what's gonna happen then when you all mixed up and severed up? That's what I ain't gonna say. I ain't gonna go too more there, right? So anyway, let me go here. I kind of went off a little bit, but not too much. But shit, I'm already almost at 3 hour mark. I've been doing 3 hours. I've been saying I wasn't gonna do 3, and somehow I still end up doing 3. I don't know, man. Like I said, you love who you want, man who you want, but understand that somebody in the game of this, whatever this war is between, you know, whether it be black and white or it be American Indian, whatever it is, in order for me to distract you, to break your shit up, I got to get through your woman. I mean, doing a job by locking a lot of us up, and then you leave a woman out here with kill herself, and then what they end up doing is turning to themselves and they becoming, you know, in that alphabet group, and that just does nothing but kill you off, right? And then you're seeing a lot of the dudes and a lot of the stuff they propagating and educating. And so is that part of it too? Because when you look at the face of it, it's like, you know, as much as there is the supposedly diverse part of it, but it looked like the fucking poster of it is black. Like you get your Billy Porters and all that. You don't got the extra super flamboyant one. Be one of ours. So what is that doing? And then they, take one and rear him up, and they're gonna sensationalize him. We're talking about like the Wade's, daughter, right? So it's like, confusion. A lot of confusion. And who does that benefit? So we have to be more about understanding the dynamics that we're against and fight through it to get together. And because she's educated, you just have to be a little bit more stern and your square to help her to realize what it is. Because as long as the education and he's able to put that into her, guess what happens? It's going to always be against you. So either we become more knowledgeable, or you give her no option. That's the only thing she's going to be able to choose. And that's what ended up happening. When you think about the 90s, when a lot of women was going to college and getting them degrees, and then they was, like saying they were going to have no babies till later to their 40s. Well, that worked. Because then right after that, then autism came on a high. Then autistic baby, a lot of people was having autistic babies. So they've been working. They've been working hard at what they've been doing. Just, are we really paying attention to this shit or not? That's what we got to ask ourselves. And so intermarriages for those, if that's your game, that's your game. But what's wrong with being self? See, it seems like we the ones get programmed with being black is the worst thing. We looking at everything up. We find ways to say that our woman, she make it hard for me. They'll make it easy for me. She bickering and fighting all the time. Well, yeah, we under this shit. It's like saying why somebody wouldn't be angry about all the shit we've been in. You're an angry black man. I got a right. What the sister said, you got a right to be angry. If you went through all the shit we've been through and the system rigged against me, I got a right to be angry if I was angry. Why I try to make that a bad thing? Because everybody denies of what the hell really is going down. So anyway, it's just like saying, for instance, like these people went out their whole way to try to say that DJ Mario, right, in hip hop was Puerto Rican. Right? Y'all remember y'all hearing that, right? But look, I had seen this here talking about this. They ran up on his family. Listen to their family right quick. Listen to
North Carolina. Where's Danny Spanish from North Carolina?
So was Mario Puerto Rican or half Puerto Rican?
He's not.
He's not half Puerto Rican?
Not half Puerto Rican. Listen, his mother just liked the name Mario, and that's where it came from. That's it.
They say his great grandfather or something.
No.
My grandmother was just like. That's my mother's brother. My mother was like. So out of every family, it's a dark skin one. I can put it like that. Everybody be like.
We got different colors. We like
we got some that are Indian.
But we are not Spanish.
Right.
Let's clear it up.
Okay, and you're Mario's what?
I'm his cousin.
His cousin.
Yes.
Okay.
My first time.
Yeah, they're trying to say he's half.
How you doing? My name is Tony. That's my uncle, my mother's brother.
Okay.
That's a whole nother long look Uncle Mario.
So Mario's not half Puerto Rican? Okay.
Black is black.
Okay.
We country black.
That's my little brother right there. Zahid. Look at him. He ain't Spanish. We come in all flavors of the club. They said that Uncle Mario.
Yeah.
They said Uncle Mario was Spanish.
They trying to say he's half Puerto Rican or something. His great grandfather or something.
Yes. Yes. We just got the places, man.
No, North Carolina.
We back, right? So yeah, there was, again, when you mix, people who want to steal are going to try to find a way to wedge in. So I'm using Mario's situation because you had Puerto Ricans who were trying to say that because his name was Mario, and then they said they did some tracing, said that his grandfather was something else, and you heard the cuz say, we country black, right? We country black. I mean, we black from North Carolina, whoop-de-woo-woo-woo, right? But that's what happens, see? You'll get mixed, and then people will find ways, because a lot of people feel like this is the opportunity, and they don't got no real culture or history from where they come from. So being here, how else do you get acclimated in to be being part of true America? They looking for shit to steal and claim. And so here it is, they're honoring him, making him a pillar of hip hop, and trying to solidify their position to say that Puerto Ricans is part of hip hop. They trying to make him to be Puerto Rican. And here's the family coming out and say, nah, that's not true. See? So just imagine when you start having the mixed relations, that's what they're going to do. They're going to use that as wedges to get into shit to try to dissipate your position. And then, see? So it's not saying that you have to be, but that's the reason why it's important that we maintain who we are to the fullest. I mean, there's plenty, again, we're going to always have women that sometimes we just going to knock here, we're just not going to be compatible. But anything that's worth having is sometimes worth fighting for. Let me say that one more again. Sometimes the thing that's worth fighting for is keeping. Sometimes you got to fight for some shit that's worth it. And if we're going to maintain and keep this shit, and take it to the next, level and where we going, we're going to have to fight for where everybody's trying to break our shit up. Don't make us to be nationalists and white nationalists. Just make us to be, self-preservation. As in that conversation, the sister said she want to have black babies. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You got some people advocating on saying, to have a black baby, you ought to kill your black baby and all that. Y'all this negativity about each other. And it's like, damn, you couldn't be existing if there wasn't no black man. But so much done happened in your life that you hate black men. And really all this is remote control of shit somebody else is doing their dynamics to make us this way. We just too bogged up. We too clogged up with so much other shit that we can't see it. And this kind of conversation is not being had anymore. So it's funny that's what that is, right? And they went out, they trying their best to fight against that, but it is what it is, right? I wasn't gonna do that, but it's already 3 hours. So I appreciate all y'all being here, coming through, seeing me. I kind of went off the wash, rinse. But not really. Really, I didn't go off of it, because that part of the conversation is still a wash, a rinse, and a spin when it comes to that. Because that's what it is. It's a way to divert. It's to wash away the connection we have that solidify us as that group. Again, we're the 33rd largest group in the world. Inside of it, okay, we got, check this out. There's that European nation, you got that Spanish nation, and you got there's 3 full nations up in here. And 2 nations are somewhat amalgamated together. And then you got other subsidiaries who are coming in by proxies by checking the box. That's why they got this one went fought against us in affirmative action. He was the puppet for that. He was the puppet for putting our name in bad, saying that we're attacking them so that they can get a damn crime bill, right? You get what I'm saying? So don't fall asleep at the wheel and not thinking that motherfuckers is not working in the background at us, against us. And then everybody here who here ain't really here for the same reason we have to be here. We always been here. But a lot of people like to use that and say, well, we all the same and y'all attacking them. But again, as the land of fugitiveness, right? Say the land of fugitiveness. When you're getting all the people who running away from the lands that they come from and they come here, what was the ideologies in the land they left? Do they got a black and white dynamic? Did they have anti-black sentiments as well? So when they come to a land that's based and structured on that, isn't that where they're going to amalgamate it to? Isn't that when they said the Irish got here, they was considered niggas, and then all of a sudden they had to work their way to become not niggas no more, white. And then the Italians did the same thing. Is the Asian doing the same thing? Is the Hispanics and are they doing? You understand? So everybody getting they temporary or their honorary white card. And for our people, you can't do that shit. You can only become statistically or status-wise in the realm of status gain, but you're never going to be able to change what you look like on the outside. Like I said, a leopard can't change his spots. So you're going to change your mindset and education to fit in. And then you have to show that work, that you down, that you'll go all out. Black police showing out for the white cop, that kind of shit, right? So again, if you love who you are, you love who we are, we must fight for for our existence. Somebody is against us. Somebody is trying to take that away from us. Somebody is washing, rinsing, spinning it to the fact we're going to be to the point we ain't even going to know who we are no more. Again, this is the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I'm your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds. And, I come on every Sunday for those who don't know. You come on Sundays between 5 and 7. I'll be on, unless it's a holiday. That Monday is when I don't. And for those of you, again, who would like to contribute to this show or somewhere, if you felt that there was anything that was of something that, a little different than watching some of these other shows, because I be out here watching shows too, and I'll be like, I can't wait till I get the hell on, right? I'm not saying that everything I'm doing this bit. This is what I do, right? This is what I do. Tell you to leave it alone. Well, I got a message here. Who is here? Let's see what I got. Yayu Kabir Kabay, thank you for your time. No, thank you for your time for listening, right? I appreciate when y'all come through. I do this because I love my people. And this is my way of contributing. I know that what I do is not popular. It's not politically correct. There's a lot of people who don't like it. There's a lot of people think, well, you just talking a lot of bullshit. I'm just talking about some things, again, from a position that sometimes there's some things we're not talking about in here. And some people don't have the gumption to do it. Well, I do it because, it is what it is, right? Somebody got to do it. And so I appreciate you. And see the people who came through today. I got Mr. Spencer 0620 came in. Y'all, Kabir, Kabay. I think I seen. Let me see. We'll go back in here. Let's see who all was up in here. See who was all up in here. Aboriginal Knowledge. David Langford came through. Who else came in? I didn't see my sister that come in today, huh? P. Wells came through. And that seems to be it. I see my sister that come through today, Miss Washington. But just give you an honorary shout out just in case you catch on the replay. So again, I am the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Next show don't make quite 11. It's gonna be a 3 day short, but we're gonna get to there. And we'll do a little something special for that 11 year, even though we ain't gonna get no more than 100 views. And so again, we thank for everybody who did contribute to the show with your likes, shares, comments, all agreed and thankful, and we thank you. But before I go, I want you to hear this. For those that, I put it like this. Those who come here from other nations, and then they try to tell us about who we are in our position, I want you to hear this as we go out. Listen to this. Until my next show, y'all. Until the next. Matter of fact, no, we ain't gonna do that yet. And we ain't gonna do that.
Here. Yeah. When you say hip hop and started in the parks, were Latinos there? Tell me Latinos
Absolutely.
were there. We
of
were
course.
there, right?
Of course, you had so many. You had Prince Whippoorwill, from the Ruby D rather. You had Charlie Chase. You had Crazy Legs. So many different acts, so many artists. When hip hop first started in the Bronx, man. Mm-hmm. Latinos and blacks together created a whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you why.
it's safe to murder Negroes because Negroes stand by and let it happen. When the Klan burns a cross, it is a message. The next step will be a lynching. As I watched the cross burning outside the church last night, it occurred to me that the crucifixion was just that, a lynching. And isn't it ironic that everything we worship was made possible by a lynching? Because at that ultimate moment of death, Jesus spoke the words that transformed a lynching into a crucifixion, that made Jesus not a condemner, but a redeemer. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Know what they do. And you know what you do. When you stand by and watch your brothers and sisters being lynched, it is as if you stood by while Christ was being crucified. Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites. That's what you are. Because you sit here every Sunday morning praising Jesus, while you know that every Saturday night your brothers and sisters are being murdered and you say nothing, you do nothing. Is it fear? Are you afraid that if you speak too loudly or protest too strongly, you'll be killed like Brother Hill? You well may be. He who takes not this cross and follows me is not worthy of me.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.